He didn't play back at all.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's pretty nice when you can roll him through the guts.
Yep. No, they played maybe one of their new guys on him.
Yeah, right. Barely justified the job, really. But the 3 platforms is good. And doing grandstands good as well. That's where I get to.
Yep. Welcome to Kingston's Twin Ovals for round 1 action between the Kingborough Tigers and the reigning Premiers North Launceston. It's a very nice picture down here at Kingston's Twin Ovals for what should be an exciting tussle between the reigning Premier and a team that's had a lot talked about it in the off-season in the Kingborough Tigers. Changes are plenty, namely Kieran Lovell landing back down at the Twin Ovals. As you can see, a nice day down here. I'm Damien Gill. Joining me in the commentary box today, or should I say commentary tent, is Chris Rowbottom and Cam Brown. Welcome, gents.
G'day, Gilly. Yeah, the commentary tent up on the hill here at the Twin Ovals. It's local footy, isn't it? It's fantastic. Luckily, we're not too exposed to the elements, and it's a nice night here in Kingborough. The Twin Ovals bathed in sunshine at the moment, a little bit of breeze, but overall perfect conditions for footy as we see the North Launceston team warm up out there. The Tigers won't be too far behind them, but this is a game that I'm really looking forward to. And if you rewind maybe a year ago, you'd almost pencil this one in for the Northern Bombers. Such were their dominance, but big off-season changes up at North Launceston off the back of their flag. They've lost a lot of their premiership players. Conversely, Kingborough have lost a couple of guys, but they've also gained some really, really strong types. So really excited for this one. I think it's going to be a close, tight game of footy. Everybody wants to win in round 1. You're always up 5 or 10% more than you normally would be. It's going to be a cracking game, I think, in good conditions.
I agree with you, I think this game's going to be close. Both teams coming off what they would say a strong pre-season. Round 1, everyone's up and about. Lots of changes to the teams. Boys, you just touched on it, but the big one obviously for the Tigers, Kieran Lovell comes back from the Hawks into the team. Michael Paul, we know he's played at TSL level before, has been a dominant player at SFL level. Jared Drew from Burnie, Marcus Gardner, Bo Adams, both from uni. But the 3 outs for the Tigers will take a bit to replace too, Gilly. Mitch Carter's been a terrific player for that club going back to Western Australia, and Blake Grant's gone to Southport, and Nick Hutchison off halfback's gone to the Geelong Footy League.
Yeah, well, why don't we take a look at the two teams? We've got the lineups. They'll come up in the graphics. Our man, the producer in the van, Ash Wilkes, will bring them up in just a touch. But two fascinating teams in terms of their off-season changes. You spoke about the Kingborough Tigers. Let's walk through the lineup, Brownie.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, look, what they probably need. I watched the Tigers a couple of weeks ago. They played against the Devils in the practice match, and Kieran Lovell was dominant, Rowie. He just looked back to his best before he actually went across to play AFL footy. So he'll give a lot of experience and drive in that midfield. They need a bigger body in Paul, so I think they're really good inclusions for them. Just won the 3 matches last year, boys. So you'd think in their natural progression they'd like to chalk up, 6 or 7 wins this year. But it's about getting a lot of game time into a pretty young group. So I'm looking forward to see what they've got on offer today.
I actually really like the look of their spine with Poland there at full-back, Doran, who's been at the club now for a year after coming across from North Hobart. Lockie Watts, a strong midfielder. Cooper Sorty, who I think can rip a game apart if he really chooses to. He's a big, rangy centre-half forward, and Mickey Paul there at full forward as well. They add in Ryan Matthews back from injury, who's a prolific ball winner. They missed him last year, and all of a sudden they start to look really strong. Kieran Lovell, as you mentioned, he was probably unlucky to be delisted from Hawthorn in the end and played really well in a VFL Grand Final just 6 months ago. So they add him into the team. He'll get good service from Gardner, Sam Rice, the captain, Griggs on the wings. And they've got Marcus Davies still there as well, former Carlton player in defence. So they look pretty good on paper, the Tigers, but this is the year for them. They need to get off to a good start, and they really need to start thinking about pushing for finals footy.
No question about it, Rowie. A couple of boys back from university as well in Gardner and Adams really strengthens the depth of the squad. And one that wasn't mentioned is Elijah Reardon from Signet. Averaged almost a goal a game last year in the SFL, a high flyer, so he's one to look out for. We'll have a look at the North Launceston lineup now because, well, there's been a lot of changes at UTAS Stadium.
Well, there has, even from that premiership side, boys. Won't see is Taron Thomas. We know Tommy Bennett's gone, Zach Burt, Jake Pearce, Mark Walsh, Michael Tang, Tommy Couch. So lots have gone out of that side, but 3 big inclusions in Tebber from South Launceston, Liam Davies from Ulverston, and Jack Rushton. We saw a bit of him last year, boys, playing as that small forward. He's come across from Launceston.
The thing I really like about North Launceston is they've kept a gun player on each line, and in some cases 2. So you look at their full back line, Jack Event, Foon, gun players. They've got Young and Rick DeSalter, they're stars. Ponting's a star in the middle of the ground, reigning Lynch medalist. Ryan Mansell across half forward, and Ben Elmer comes in. He's a prolific goal kicker in the underage. And then, of course, the forward line, Sharon Egger, Cox Goodyear and Rushton. They're going to kick a lot of goals this year. Providing the service in the middle will be Alex Lee, who's a gun, Taylor Whitford, who's a star on baller, and a youngster in Jordan Tepper. So a lot of changes in this lineup over the past 6 months or so, but still so much quality and enough to ensure that they'll be there at the pointy end of this season. Yeah,
there's a lot that's gone out, but what I like is with the players they've brought in, they've essentially skimmed off the best of the rest. You look at Jordan Tepper, he won the NTFA Best and Fairest last year at South Launceston. You spoke of Ben Elmer. He was at Rochalee and he was the NTFA leading goal kicker, kicked 55, so you know he can find the middle of the sticks. And then a couple from the northwest, Van Buren. He's been in the Team of the Year the last couple of years, 4th in the Baldock medal last year at Latrobe. And Liam Davies at Ulverston, 5th in the Baldock last year and the Team of the Year the last couple of years. So you know they're likely types, and it's just about whether they can step up on the TSL stage. But they look good pickups on paper.
Well, what it does show you too, boys, is the value of list management and looking at the tier competitions below TSL level, because there's plenty of players that we've seen come up and really impress when they've got the opportunity at the highest stage, that being TSL level footy. So really looking forward to seeing some of these blokes running around for their debut today.
I'm a big fan of players who dominate at lower levels coming up and having a crack at state league footy, and I think there's lots of them in the north of the state, and they've seen the North Launceston and the club and the culture that way back in the Zane Littlejohn days has been built up and carried on through now with Taylor Whitford, and they've said, I want to be a part of it, and they've come up and they're going to have a crack, and it's fantastic to see. What
are your expectations for the Tigers this year, Brownie? Obviously, each year there's there's a thought that they're going to grow into the season, maybe notch a few more wins, and it hasn't quite happened just yet. But 2019 seems like a year of real optimism for Tigers fans.
Yeah, just the 3 wins that we mentioned before, Gilly, I'd love to see them double that. Maybe internally they might even have even greater expectations, but I think today's critical, and I think they're going to be in this game for a long time. In particular, I think they need to make playing down at the Twin Ovals a really difficult proposition for opposition teams, and they'll get their opportunity today. As we mentioned, round 1, you can often spring a few surprises, but I think a lot of that is getting some games into that young group, and probably, we've seen it with Lauderdale. We're talking off air. A lot of that core group of players have been with that footy club for 7 or 8 years now, played 130 games, so it does take some time. But that's why it's really invaluable when you get people like Paul to the club, when you get Kieran Lovell, these sorts of players, because it just breeds a little bit of confidence within a young group.
Yeah, and fantastic. You mentioned Kieran Lovell, who no doubt when he was let go by the Hawks would have had offers coming in left, right and centre from every bush footy club in Victoria you can think of. No doubt every state league club probably sent him a text message at some stage, but the fact he's come back to his home club, that speaks volumes about Kingborough and what they're building here at Twin Ovals. They just need to convert it into wins. And what better chance to beat the reigning premiers than in round 1 on your home deck, an opposition that probably hasn't gelled yet. A lot of premiership stars coming out of that team. North Launceston probably as ripe for the picking as they're ever going to be all year. So a massive opportunity here for the Tigers to get their season off to a flyer and get an early scalp.
And one we haven't probably spoken much about is Jared Drew for the Tigers. He's arrived from Burnie. Formerly, he played a bit of TAC Cup footy at Gippsland Power. He's been at Casey, played at Southport in the NEFL. He's a bit of an organiser, a bit of a general down back, can pinch hit in the middle. He was quality for Burnie in their flag last year in the NWFL, so he's one to watch. When you have him on one flank and, the likes of Marcus Davies there as well, they have good experienced custodians down there to really guide the young boys in defence, and that's a big in, especially with Mitch Carter coming out of the squad.
Well, arguably, boys, those roles off half-back are so critical, because we know with repeat forward inside 50s and trying to lock the ball in your forward half, if you've got some guys that can be line breakers, like the couple of players you mentioned there, Gilly, they can really break the game open.
Tell you what, conditions don't get too much better for footy down here at Twin Ovals. It's very, very nice evening for footy. First round of the season, of course, 2 games already have completed. Lauderdale, the victors by 53 points at North Hobart Oval earlier today, and 29-point winners were the Glenorchy Magpies up at Windsor Park. So this is the last game of round 1, but on paper, probably the most fascinating of the tussles. Really, really interesting to see what these two teams dish up. One, a premier with a heap of changes. When you think about a team without Bennett and Burt, that's a seismic shift in any setup. And then Tigers get someone like Lovell into the mix. Well, that's a seismic shift for another reason. So it's going to be a fascinating game as North Launceston look to take their positions. Tigers just bursting out of the huddle.
Not to mention a guy by the name of Mark Walsh, and also a chap that goes by the name of Taron Thomas as well for this North Launceston team. He's a couple of handy types. You just think back to that grand final team and some of the players they had running around, and they looked absolutely unbelievable. But such is the strength of the Northern Bombers. It looks like they've replaced them nicely.
I'm interested to know where the goals are going to come from North Launceston today, because if you take out Thomas, Bennett, Burt, Couch, as we mentioned, there's probably 10 to 12 goals on average per game across those 4 players. So you obviously Cox Goodyear will spend a fair bit of time up forward. Potentially Taylor Whitford will play closer to goal. We know that he's very good and very accomplished player, neat by foot and can finish. So perhaps they'll roll him a fair bit through the midfield, but predominantly up forward.
They've still got some quality movers. I tell you what, North Launceston, last 2 Lynch medalists right there in the middle of the ground, and Kieran Lovell opposite them. Heavy number for Kieran Lovell, 20. I would have thought he'd at least demand a single digit.
Well, he did have 20, I reckon, the last time he was down at the Tigers.
So he's
probably,
just
grabbed the old
just slipped back in. All right, tips, fellas?
I'll say Tigers. I think they'll win by 2 goals tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go North Launceston under 10 points for mine.
North Launceston by 22. We're in the middle. Ready for the first bounce of these two teams' seasons, and that's a shocker. Probably should have had it again, but Lovell pounces straight on it. The kick off the left, looking forward. No takers. Dropping down. Reardon almost. A free kick. Won't go his way. North Launceston now. Big Alex Lee still down there. So it'll fall to Egger. Egger, a nudgy little ball. Inside. Finds his target in Davies. An early involvement. Forward he goes. Almost for Simpson. Taken away now, but wrapping up was Cox Goodyear. A good tackle.
That's where you see the strength in him, just to be able to wrap his arms around and bring him down. Jack Event looks like he's got the job on Kieran Lovell, boys.
So we'll go from the middle of the ground. Early free kick here. Cox Goodyear, he was named at full forward, but he started in the middle as he pokes one short to the ruckman and Alex Lee. He'll get it back. Through he goes, the middle of Twin Ovals. Kick forward now in the Elmer direction. Umpire's plucked something. We've had a whistle. It might have been off the ball. In fact, it is. So looks like umpire Joel Harris is going to take the ball from North Launceston's hands, or no? Was
he saying he didn't come off the mark?
Yeah, it was a very, very late whistle.
And a faint whistle at that.
So Cox Goodyear will go again. He has it in the middle of the Twin Ovals and look to get things moving. He goes over the top looking for Young. In fact, it was picked off there by Van Buren. He pokes one inside 50. It's a nice ball and a nice grab. So Elmer will get his first chance for North Launceston. By Van Buren to kick their first of the evening. He pokes one inside 50. It's a nice ball and a nice grab.
Just lowered the eyes.
So
presentation here gives North Launceston an opportunity to kick the first.
So a prolific goal kicker in the league below. He knows where the big sticks are, as Damien Gill said in the pre-game. He's got a nice set of hands. There's a little bit of Zach Bird about him. He's a big unit as he strolls on in. He makes pretty good connection. That's a wonderful kick off the boot, and he likes it. North Launceston have their first. And that's the first goal here at the Twin Ovals. They're 1 straight 6. Tigers yet to score. 2.5 minutes gone.
Yeah, terrific start for Elmer personally, and also for the North Launceston Footy Club. But he's a good size, isn't he? You can tell already he's going to draw the footy. An experienced player, albeit at the lower levels, but he's 25 years of age, so that mature body type, and a terrific start for him.
Yeah, Elmer Fudd with the big Elmer Thud, straight up. Just thought I'd land a crispy one early there, Rowie.
See how many Looney Tunes references you can sneak into this game tonight,
Why not? Back in the middle, umpire Joel Harris. I'll tell you what, he needs a better bounce here. Last was a shocker. That's beautiful, Joel. Down off Alex Lee. Running through was Matthews. He's collected in a nice tackle from Young. Going nowhere is Matthews.
Yeah, Matthews and Kieran Lovell getting their hands on it early.
Good signs for the Tiggies. Back up again. The ruckman collide. Lee bested on this occasion, but he mops up, finds Ponting. Sweeps out a handball to Simpson. Simpson around, looking for a target, and he finds one. It's a magnificent kick, and it's straight to his coach in Whitford. Wastes no time, spins around, puts through the second for the Bombers.
Yeah, well, there's a fair bit of class, wasn't there, in the build-up to that. Young Simpson, who probably might have been a little bit disappointed he didn't get a game today for the Devils, but he'll get his opportunity throughout the season. But we mentioned Taylor Whitford might spend some more time forward today, and a smart mark, and just had the presence of mind to kick it across his body. Great start for North Launceston.
Just worked his opponent underneath that one. Young Will Poland. He was just too experienced there, just to nudge him out of the way. Too strong as well. Took an easy mark and kicked an easy goal, did Whitford, as he starts deep. So we're back in the middle once again. North Launceston with a couple of quick ones to start this game. It's fair to say they're looking pretty good early. So up she goes. Lee contests the tap. Ponting couldn't gather. Young comes at it. Matthews was in there. He's wrapped up by Ponting. Young's in there as well as his Event.
Event a bit more on ball. Brownie, do you like it?
Yeah, I do. He's such a versatile player, isn't he? He can play down back, roll through the midfield. We've seen him kick goals forward as well.
Lee tapped it down. Nobody able to take it cleanly. Players converge once more, and it's at the bottom of a pile of bodies. And we'll go once more on the commentary side wing.
Lovely day here down at the Twins.
So Gardner and Lee. Lee won the tap. Through came Matthews. Shoveled out a handball. Kick came away. The Tigers go forward. There's a contest at half forward. Nice mark, Elijah Taylor.
Reardon.
I'll do that a couple of times tonight as he goes in to the forward pocket. It'll bounce out of play, though, as he's unable to hit a target. We'll have a throw in the left forward pocket for the Tigers as they look to score their first goal.
Keep your eye on him, boys, Reardon. He's got some real athleticism. Saw him play a couple of weeks ago. He's got a few tricks, can kick a goal.
Yeah, as I said last season for Signet, a goal a game on average. Down from Lee. This is their first real look. The Tigers just swung left of the uprights, and it was off the boot of Rice, the skipper. So Jay Foon to kick out, of course, didn't play in that last day in September. He kicks long, looking for his coach. That's a great grab from Griggs. Came back and took a lovely mark as he looks back and looks for an option. Powers deep. Oh, that's a tremendous clunk from Big Mickey Paul.
Yeah, we've seen him do it. That's bread and butter for him, but just the umpire's talking to him here.
Has he noticed something on him? I don't. What's going on there?
It's going to be the blood roar.
Oh, he's stiff. Big Mickey
Wow.
Paul, the big off-season sign. He comes down here, first one in his zone, and he just swallows it, gobbles it up, and has to go off.
We've seen him do that throughout his whole career, not come off for the blood roar, but take those strong contested marks. But what it does give you, Rowie, if you're a Tigers player, is confidence to kick long, and they've probably been looking for a target like that.
Gee.
And that's a great result. Important now Kieran Lovell can kick this goal.
So Kieran Lovell has the job of converting with Paul off the field. He wanders on in. Kieran Lovell steers it through. That's the homecoming he was after. They hit back the Tigers.
Mickey Paul just had the smallest smear of claret just underneath his nose. He was very, very stiff to be sent from the ground from Joe Harris, but rules are rules. That's why they exist. But how exciting is this shaping up potentially as a shootout between Elmer and Mickey Paul, the two big burly full forwards, a bit of old school footy.
The big boys collide. That's what we like.
Both from their respective regional leagues coming up into the big time. It's fantastic to see Mickey Paul, a big-time goal kicker in the league underneath the TSL down here in the southern half of the state. As we get back into the middle, Lee wins the tap decisively. It falls back into his lap as he's on the ground. He's mobbed by two Tigers. We'll have another boundary, well, not a boundary throw up, a centre ball.
Right in the bullseye.
So up it goes again. Hugh Johnston to contest the ruck this time. Lee won it down once again. Handball shovelled out to Lovell, who's immediately wrapped up by Connie Young. We'll have another ball up.
Well, this isn't a terrific initiative, the under-25, is it? Representative game that we've got coming up in the middle of the year.
Down it goes. Nobody able to gather cleanly. Fierce tackle applied there. And we'll have another ball up. Just wait for a free kick to be plucked out here somewhere, boys.
Yeah, it hasn't moved for long enough. Is that what you're coming with, Rowie?
That's exactly what I'm getting at, but it spills out to Ponting, who was good enough to get the ball to Cox Goodyear, who dinks one inside 50. Whitford met it beautifully, gathered nicely, gets the handball off to Simpson, gets one over the top now to Cox Goodyear. He'll like this, gets on the left boot and just misses to the left-hand side.
Looks dangerous already, Taylor Whitford for mine. That could be a worrying matchup for the Tigers coaching staff.
So Jared Drew, experienced player, nice little kick. Kicks out Gordon off the bench. Down from Ponting. It's picked up nicely by Rushton in red and black this season rather than the blue he was last season. And nicely intercepted by Drew. So Drew leading the back half of things for the Tigers. Powers long onto the wing. Almost a mark. Rushton feeds it out. Egger steers a kick inside. Mansell at the fall. Weasels his way out. And that is a lovely finish from Ryan Mansell.
Well, that's great for his confidence. He probably didn't have the year that he would have liked last year. We saw him play for what was the Mariners, now the Devils. Played for some allies as well. And he would have probably had this time last year, boys, hopes of getting drafted. But as an overage player, potentially playing some games and going back and playing at North Launceston, It's a big year for him. I like the fact that he is playing forward too, which is a bit of a change for him, and he's rolling through the midfield.
Well, Ryan Mansell, we saw the Devils play today in Sydney in the under-18 competition. Ryan Mansell, a few think he might have been stiff to miss out to play in that representative game, but North Launceston, I'm sure, will be more than happy to have his services this evening, and that's exactly why. That was a fantastic finish. Broke the tackle and kicked it over the shoulder. We go back in the middle. North Launceston skip out to a 19-7 lead as Johnston wins down the tap. Doesn't go anywhere fast. That's a wonderful tackle from Cox Goodger. Handball comes out now. Lovell gets it again. He would have had 5 or 6 kicks now. Kicks beyond a wing. Pack will form. Nobody able to take the mark off hands. North Launceston go forward, and that's a nice mark taken out there by Young. So Young, right half forward for North Launceston. Kicks deep. There's a contest forming. Davies was at the back. It falls into the hands of Elmer, unable to get boots the ball, and it'll trickle over the boundary line. Right forward pocket for the Bombers.
Like the work, Gilly, already of Liam Davies, off half back for North Launceston. Nice left foot. Hit up a couple of targets already in this game.
He's looked good, hasn't he?
So deep in the Bombers forward line, in it comes once again. Rucks go at it. Falls down into the lap of a Bombers player, and he's immediately wrapped up. We'll have another ball up.
Jack Event underneath all that. He's been central in the action so far as Lee contests. It's gathered out of the ruck though, going nowhere fast. They kick it out through Watt. Off hands Event, then it came from Rushton on the outside of the boot from Young. An unlikely type to snare a goal, but he does. Threads it through.
Players are just so highly skilled now. He had the confidence then to kick it across his body for a banana from 30 metres out under a bit of pressure. They're just beating him around the contest at the moment, boys, aren't they? That ground level ball, contested and uncontested footy. They're dominant at the moment. So some worrying signs here, albeit early for the Tigers.
Yeah. They've been deadly accurate too, Brownie. Just the one behind so far. And they've really taken their chances, North Launceston.
So it's North Launceston 4-1-25. They lead Kingborough 1-1-7. Early doors in this one. 12 and a half minutes gone in the first term. We're back in the middle as an intriguing contest begins to form. Not a great bounce, and we'll have it recalled.
We're on bounce watch, Rowie. It's one of my favourite things to do.
Well, it is round one, so we'll give the men in green a little bit of slack
a bit of
tonight.
rust.
Johnston couldn't win it down cleanly.
Oh,
that's a wonderful take there as North Launceston go forward. It wasn't a judge 15, in fact it was. So Young marks it true centre half forward, goes back, takes his kick, looking for his coach in Whitford, and he took the mark diving. And he'll have another shot on goal, Taylor Whitford. He's starting to cause headaches in the front half of the ground for the Tigers.
He's impressed me, just his attack on the footy is Jack Rushton coming across from Launceston. He was pivotal in that centre bounce there. Really hard at it.
So Whitford for his second goal in this opening term. We know he's a beautiful user of the ball. In he comes. He sends it on its way, and that looks pretty good. So North Launceston open an early lead. And it is with big thanks to the coach, Taylor Whitford, who's kicked 2 early goals.
Well, we thought he was dangerous. It just looks like he's going to kick a bag already in this game. He'd be one of the better finishers in the competition, I would have thought, boys, around goals. A beautiful kick of the footy.
And as he almost operating as a permanent forward so far in this one, so that's ominous because you know that you can throw him in the middle at some point, and he's incredibly damaging in that role too. Of course, Player of the Year last year and the RSCT Player of the Year. So very, very good is Taylor Whitford, but maybe a new look for North Launceston with a few changes in the off-season. So back in the middle. Bounce favours Lee. He brings it down. Mansell chasing after it. Matthews first to it. Griggs off the back of the square. Powers forward. Down off the hands of Foon. Feeding out was Davies. He finds Egger at the races. De Ponting, they are loud wheels. And it didn't come nicely off them. It's Watt rather. Couldn't find his skipper in Rice. Young is claimed in a great tackle. And a follow-up tackle by Thomas Foon, is it? for the Northern Bombers. So, ball up on the wing, hillside here at Twin Ovals. Favourite event, slipped through his fingers. Lovell now gets a look, feeds out to the skipper in Rice. He was knocked as he hit it. Sitting under this one was Foon and punched out for a throw in.
Rowie, really looking forward to seeing Sharon Egger. He had an outstanding season last year, and it'd be terrific for him personally if he can back it up again.
Yeah, one of the gun youngsters in the comp, that's for sure. Come across from Devonport after they opted back into the TFL last year. So, yeah, really looking forward to seeing him also. Matthews on hands and knees. He's mobbed by a couple of Bombers. Rushed in one of them as he's Ponting. So, we'll go again.
It's not going to be easy here for the Tigers.
Down it comes. Ponting tried to get to it. Lovell shoveled it out to Griggs. Couldn't get his kick free. North Launceston will kick beyond a wing now. Contest forms. Rice did well. Well picked up by Poland. He got it off to a teammate. Now the Tigers will go forward again, but it's all Bombers back there and wonderfully chopped off by Rick DeSalta.
Well, they had two numbers back at that last stoppage. That's why I mentioned it was going to be difficult for the Tigers.
Another one unlucky to miss the grand final last year. They're under the pump here, North Launceston. Underneath all that, I think is Foon. It is. He comes out with the footy, so it'll be a ball up. Not far from the paint of 50. Alex Lee collides with Gardner. Tips out the back, a bouncing ball. Rick DeSalta and Event first to it. Event manufactures a kit looking for Mansell. Great hands from the youngster.
Looking good already.
Bursting out on the wing. His kick's overcooked. And Davies almost had it. Feeding out was Big Elmer. Coming through was Poland. They should attack the other way now, the Tigers. Slipping through a lot of fingers here. A bit fumbly. Nicely done by the Northern Bombers through Wadley. They'll pounce now, the Tigers. Grigg. Feeding out onto the wing is Matthews. Hesitates. In the end, finds a runner in Watt. Bouncing ball, Rick DeSalta first to it. He's claimed in a tackle. They try and get it out through Foon, but it'll be... Oh, it was Ping holding the ball.
The ball, it's pretty stiff.
Very stiff. Luke Graham had a great season last year. Looking for Big Mickey Paul off his fingers. I'm going to get excited every time it's near him. They look to work it out through hands now, North Launceston. A hurried kick outside of 50. First to it is Rees. He looks for an ally. He finds one in his skipper Rice. But he has a big problem with North Launceston left and right of him. And it'll be a ball up. Centre wing far side.
So Mickey Paul crashing packs early. What we like to see. I'm sure he's going to get onto a few this season, that's for sure. High ball now from Whitford. Grigg sits underneath it. He was unable to take the mark. Simpson did enough, and it'll spill out over the line on the outer side. Nice little crowd in here tonight too, boys.
Yeah, getting a car park was pretty hard, actually. I was down near the soccer ground, Lightwood Park. It's a good sign.
Certainly is. Your patrons enjoying their round one TSL action. North Launceston here against the home team, the Tigers. It's worked out, it's shovelled out. Griggs now gets a kick up beyond a wing, and it's taken nicely by Reardon. He'll play on immediately, kicks towards half forward. Where's Mickey Paul? He comes out, meets it solidly, takes it on the chest. He's going to turn and go and kick inside 50. If only he could kick it down there to himself. He's got a man there floating back, and that's a wonderful mark taken. It looked like Johnston who went back and plucked it. And they'll have a shot for goal here, the Tigers.
What was important there, and you called it, Rowe, was Paul took the mark. He just draws the footy, but he had the presence of mind to play on, wheel and go, try and get some space for his forwards to lead into. And in the end, the kick dropped a little short in the breeze by the look of it, but it was a nice mark from Johnson.
So Hugh Johnston approaches, looking for the Tigers' second goal. It wasn't the best looking kick, but it looks like it's done enough. Hugh Johnston kicks his first. Kingborough have their second. And they tighten up this gap a little bit. 19 and a half minutes gone, first term.
Yeah, no, well done by Hugh Johnston. But what we saw there was the impact of big Mickey Paul into this Tigers outfit, it must be said. came and led nicely at the ball, and I tell you what, vices for hands.
Liking the work of Lockie Griggs, boys, just sitting off half-back in the wing. Got himself into some good positions to get some handball receives and wheel onto that left foot.
Good call, Brownie. They're using him as a bit of an outlet at the back of stoppages. Bounce again. Goal kicker Johnston colliding with Lee. Cox Goodyear's handball is an errant one, and Lovell's at the races. Looking long. Unfortunately, Reardon was his target, but I don't think Reardon knew much about it. They'll move it out of defence now through Van Buren. Poland chops it off. Through hands, they'll move. North Launceston, Cox Goodyear, don't let him near the paint of 50. Inside the square, Powers a booming boot. Has he got the journey? Of course he has. Brad Cox Goodyear with a Brad Cox Goodyear special.
I mean, you tend to look at that, Rowie, and just expect it. But he's probably the only player out on the ground that could do that. He had the presence of mind to realise he was a bit far out, took a bounce, and then just unloaded from 55 metres out, made the distance comfortably. He's a fantastic player.
He was inside the centre square.
There you go.
That was Lance Franklin-like. All it needed was the hurdle from Lance Franklin a few years back against the Pies at the G, and would have been very, very similar, but gee, he's a good player.
He's a terrific player.
You take that for granted because
that's what I mean.
He'll do one of those a week.
Yeah. Yep.
He's amazing.
And then he'll roll forward and kick you 3 goals in 10 minutes.
You can't do much about that as we find that yellow Sharon back in the middle. Again, not an amazing bounce, but it'll do. Ponting goes after it. In fact, it was Cox Goodyear again, and this time he's pinged holding the ball. Not an easy task. So free kick, Tigers. Middle of the ground, they'll look to go forward again. Where's Paul? It's nowhere near him. It's chopped off by a red and black jumper. Things look to be spread wide here. Simpson. He's got it at left half back for the Bombers. He's got short options on if he wants them. He uses one immediately. So in they come now through Foon. Call of 50. Short ball was good. He's rushed, and in fact, it's going to be called back. So Egger will take the kick. He's on centre wing. See something he likes? No.
Jeez.
Joel Harris. He's hot on the whistle tonight.
He's got something to get across.
Razor Ray like there, wasn't it?
Let's see if this one gets called back. No. Rushton has it right in front of the interchange benches in the commentary position. North Launceston just slow things down ever so slightly. Kick now beyond half foot. Elmer came at it from behind. He had 2 to beat. Young will track it to the boundary, and it'll be worked over the line by Reese. So 6-1-37. Kingborough 2-1-13. Is an even 4-goal margin to North Launceston here. Fantastic opening turn from the visiting Bombers as it comes in. Once again, Gardner do the ruck work up against Elmer, who went in and crashed in and tried to shovel out a handball. Fantastic work from the big forward. It's what you want to see. It's going to be held in again for another ball up.
Tell you what, a lovely addition down here at Twin Ovals that fans will be enjoying. The seats on the bank. I think they've got plans to do another level of them. Fantastic. Seeing a lot more people on this side of the ground as Lee is wrapped in a tackle. Comes out in the end, and it's Lovell. Who else? Looking for Reardon. Contest really well. Good grab.
He's got some talent.
It's been good.
Hands it off to Lovell, the go-to guy. Looks long down the wing. Not his best kick. Just touched on the way over the line. It will be thrown in. Just in front of the new interchange benches here at the Twins. It might be the Bev show tossing this one in. So pressure on Jacob Bevis. In it comes. Lee down, but it's to the Tigers' advantage. Matthews to Lovell. A likely combination. Paul! Oh, almost. Had to get excited. It's handed off from Mega. Comes from Foon. He finds a target. They're away now. Richter Solder feeds out to Rushton. Quick movement through the middle of the ground. Griggs underneath this one. Chops off.
The disappointing thing there for the Tigers is it was a terrific contest from Paul, but North Launceston were the ones that had the numbers and rebounded off half-back. The small forwards need to get involved for the Tigers.
Tigers spread it out wide to Reese, or Drew in fact, and his kick misses all targets and will spill over the boundary line on the outer side.
He's just drawing the footy, Michael Paul, so if they can get a smart crummer beneath his feet, it would be ideal for the Tigers.
Certainly looking for him, which is what we want to see. Michael Paul, crashing packs. In it comes once again. Ruck's battle. It's picked up by Watt, who's slung in the tackle by Cox Goodyear. Handball comes over the top. It lands in the arms of Matthews, who meets two Bombers. And he's immediately dragged down. Another ball up. So up it goes again. Gardner wins this one decisively. Matthews tracks it, gathers cleanly. Underground ball towards the wing. Only as far as Egger. Now it comes back the other way in the Tigers' direction. Foon was sitting underneath it, unable to take the mark. Nice bit of movement there from a black and yellow jumper. Handball spilled out. Contested footy up for grabs here. Reardon was there, but it'll be a ball up.
So back on the outer side. Up goes the ball, won by Lee, down almost for Cox Goodyear. Lee ends up mopping it up and swinging a big kick long. Griggs set himself well but didn't complete the grab, so it lets in North Launceston here if they can gather. Griggs able to mop up his own work, scurries out a kick. They'll move it now through Gordon. He goes long down the line and it's tipped over for a boundary throw.
North Launceston happy to have Taylor Whitford one out.
Yeah, they're happy with that matchup, and why not? 2 to his name already, Taylor Whitford, looking very dangerous inside 50. Thrown on in. They'll contest again, Gardner and Lee. Down to Cox Goodyear, he just deals with his opponent. They get a kick out, almost just short of Simpson on that occasion. Tips out the back though, and it comes to Young. A kick inside 50, looking for his coach Whitford. Doesn't quite get there. Will be thrown on in.
Just set up a little bit, the inside 50 kick there.
Nicely done by Blake McCulloch in defence, who might have been shifted onto Whitford. And it comes forward pocket for North Launceston. Rucks go at it. Gardner won it down. Elmer tracks it to the boundary. He's mobbed by McCulloch. And players will pile on top of the footy for another ball up. Deep into the first term here.
Speaking of the name McCulloch, Bart McCulloch's not out there for North Launceston, is he?
Yeah, we hadn't spoken about him. It's just another one of these North Launceston guns as Lovell gets his 1 millionth disposal in this first term. Finds a target too. Tigers have it at left half back. They'll look to launch forward. A wobbly old kick towards the wing. It's good enough though. Finds a player in Gordon. He'll kick further beyond the wing. Trying to find a flying target. Falls out the back now. Where's Mickey Paul? He's got to lead the chase back. He won't get there. Taylor, Reardon, I should say, gets there first. Gathered really cleanly. Didn't quite get his kick away. And it's run over the boundary line. I'm going to keep doing that. Those Elijah boys.
Saw the speed there of Reardon. He made up some good ground there.
There's a nice kick in by Luke Graham as well, clever. He's crafted an opportunity from nothing as the ball comes back in again. Down off the hands of Johnston. It'll be rinse and repeat. Inside forward 50 here for the Tigers. Dying embers of this first quarter.
Trying to see, boys, if there is a breeze. A couple of those kicks to right of screen have held up a little bit. Johnston
gathers his own footy. Was he held without it? They shovel it out now, North Launceston. Cox Goodyear, good lateral movement, finds Richter Solder. They're away now, North Launceston. The target is Mansell. Well done by Rice. Gets it down. Davies now, dealing with Young. Mansell comes in, collects, caught high. Mansell.
It's going to be 50 metres.
It's going to be 50, and it's going to be costly.
That's extremely costly. That went from a 50-50 one-on-one ball to an unlucky free kick to probably a shot on goal.
Yeah, as we just saw on the replay there, he went and sort of dumped him afterwards. He didn't have to do that, I don't think, Rice.
He's the skipper too, so not what you want to see from your leader.
So Ryan Mansell, He's had a really good first quarter.
Love to see him have a great year. Even 2 years ago, boys, he had a really strong year as a bottom-age Mariner/Devils and a premiership player.
Skips across the 50 mark. Comes on in.
Good kick.
Looked very nice off the boot and never was missing. 7th of the quarter for North Launceston, and he lets Rice know about it. And he lets Mansell know about it in return. A very healthy lead here for the Northern Bombers.
Well, Rowie, this is not an ideal start for the Tigers. Coming in against last year's Premiers, they would have fancied themselves to get off to a bit of a flyer, but unfortunately for them, it's a 30-point margin.
Certainly is. 5-goal margin late into this first term, and especially disappointing from a Tigers perspective. The captain was given away the free kick and then the 50-metre penalty, and he owes them a goal now, the skipper Sam Rice. Ryan Mansell has looked really, really good early in this one. He's kicked a couple, and maybe he's just showing those Devils selectors what they might have missed out on today up in Blacktown. As we get back into the middle of the ground, Gardner, nice tap. It was Ponting coming on through. He was dumped immediately. North Launceston will regain the footy, though, as they go to half forward. Chopped off now by Drew, who plays on immediately by hand. Runners through the middle of the ground. The Tigers looking good. They'll go forward now again through Drew, who kept running, but it's going to be picked off nice and easily by a red and black jumper.
Lanham.
So they get things moving again. Lanham kicks straight into the arms of Gardner, the big ruckman. He gets things going by hand. Tigers move it to half forward, but again, the delivery isn't fantastic. Ponting unable to take the mark, goes in once again. Egger on hands and knees, couldn't shovel it out. It's dragged in, and there's the first quarter siren, and it was all North Launceston, 7-1-43, Tigers 2-1-13, 30 points to the good at quarter time.
Far too good so far in this one, North Launceston, and although there's been a lot of turnover in the off-season, it's the same old North Lonnie, really, isn't it, Brownie?
It is, and look, I was really impressed with their work in the contested ball situation, and their ability to spread, I thought, really hurt the Tigers, and for mine, across half-back was one of their rebounding efforts was really strong right through that quarter, and the Tigers across half forward, I thought they fell down a little bit through there, so they'll need to readdress that, because I thought Michael Paul really drew the footy really well, but unfortunately if he didn't take the mark, North Launceston were off to the races, so they'll need to reassess. It's not an ideal start for them, 30 points down at quarter time, but they'll get an opportunity to regroup, get among their coaches and try and reassess and have another go in the second quarter, bro.
We're seeing on the replay here some of the damage that was done. That goal, a really sharp chance from Taylor Whitford. And this was the first goal just before this. Big Mickey Paul came out and clunked one, and Kieran Lovell finished it off. He's had a tremendous quarter, Rowie.
Certainly has. I'm not sure we've got disposal counts here in the TSL, but just off the eye, he would have had 15 or 16 potentially. He had a lot of the footy in that first term, including the very first clearance of the game, and already looks to be a player that's going to get it 30 or 40 times a week at TSL level, as he should. A player of his quality coming straight out of an AFL system. It'll be interesting to see if they put any more attention into him coming into the second term, or what they do, or they let him run free. I guess his kicking probably isn't amazing, so they might view him as not particularly damaging despite having a lot of the ball. So it'll be fascinating in the middle of the ground, especially with Taylor Whitford going forward and kicking a couple of goals.
Well, we thought that might be the case, didn't we, in terms of some of the goal-kicking power that is out of the North Launceston lineup, and Whitford, we know his forward craft is second to none, and you throw Cox Goodyear, and they've got a couple of, potentially 40, 50 goal players in there. Love the work of Mansell, boys, just the fact that he's been freed up. We've seen him more as that defensive cross half back, but he's got a little bit more freedom, and looks like he's a little bit freer in his body to mine, and really love his attack on the footy. Really smart goal, wasn't early on, and another nice, neat finish from a 50-metre penalty. So looking forward to him having a really strong year.
But he drew the 50-metre penalty or the free kick before it because he competed really well in the one-on-one against Sam Rice out on the wing. He didn't lose his feet. He went back after the ball. He managed to gather the footy and then draw the high free kick. The 50-metre penalty was a little bit lucky, but that was frustration from a Sam Rice point of view. And then when you get the 50-metre penalties, you have to convert, and that's exactly what he did. So massive confidence booster for Ryan Mansell, who, as you mentioned, probably didn't have the year he wanted to have last year after being on a few AFL clubs' radars.
Yeah, so as you see, Ryan Mansell with the 2, Taylor Whitford with 2, and a 30-point lead at the first quarter time break. We'll have a brief break in commentary here and be back with the second stanza shortly. Stay with us here at Twin Ovals. And dusted. Some choice words you'd suspect from coach Trent Bormala. A big build-up in the off-season at Tigerland, and a 30-point lead at this point in time to North Launceston, the reigning premier, flexing their muscle early, boys.
They just got to get their hands on the footy, don't they, the Tigers? North Launceston totally dominant, and I love their rebound off half-back. Thought Griggs was an important player early for the Tigers. Showed some good signs rolling off the wing. Dygan had a little bit of the footy early, and he is a good decision maker with ball in hand. So I'd like to see him get some more of the footy.
I really liked Elijah Reardon. I thought he was really lively across half forward for Tigers, and looked like potentially their best avenue to goal. They were looking for Mickey Paul, and we'll see him get on the end of a few, I'm sure, but Elijah Reardon looked really nice. It looks to be a good pickup. But North Launceston, of course, Cox Goodyear through the middle. Ponting has been really, really strong. Whitford forward, a couple of goals, and Mansell as well. So looking really, really strong at this point.
Gilly, a player hasn't got a lot of footy yet, Luke Graham. We know he can bob up and kick some goals for the Tigers, so let's hope he can have a big second quarter here for them.
Nearly single-handedly won them a game last year down at the tip. Fine player, you're right, Brownie. Tell you what, it's dropped a few degrees down here at Kingston. Down off the hands of Lee. That's sharp stuff from North Launceston. Comes off the boot of Ponting, looking the Tom Foon direction. Back the other way, an errant kick, just kept in. Looking for Ponting. Seam wide of him and out for a throw. Clubroom side. So the lights start to have some influence here. Pretty still day. Can be blustery in this part of the world. Thrown on in. Lee colliding with Gardner. Out the back, it's gathered by Watt. Manufactures a kick and it's seen over by Egger. And it'll be rinse and repeat.
You'd think Clarence would be here watching today, Rowie. They've got North Launceston next week.
Yeah, you'd think so. The Clarence boys would be rugged up somewhere here at the Twin Ovals, just watching on to see what they'll be dealing with next week. They've got the bye, of course, this week in the TSL as Whitford immediately gets North Launceston forward. Elmo unable to track it. Good battle forming out there at half forward for the Bombers as Simpson comes in. Lovell arrives as well, but we'll have another bowler. So who can strike first in this second term? Kingborough would love it to be them. Wonderful tap down to Cox Goodyer. He bangs North Launceston inside 50. Mansell met it, was tackled by Davies, who fed the handball out. It's going to be gathered now by McCulloch, who found a teammate who was dragged off. It just got his kick away. Through came Reese, who was also tackled. In fact, he was taken high. So Tigers will get out of jail here through Reese. Just assesses his options, opts to come back across goal. Wasn't a great kick. Makes McCulloch work for it. He went to ground. Was good enough to win the handball up. Poland now. Just not sure what to go to as he takes a bounce. Looks up the ground. Comes back inboard. It's a risky kick, but it'll find that he's
Blues
lucky.
whistle early there, I reckon.
He's incredibly lucky. Bo Adams, in fact, it's turned straight over. Was it a North Launceston mark? Umpire said no. Taken now by Whitford, who was tackled. Rice feeds the handball out. Kingborough need to be neat and tidy here. They're not. Shot on goal came, but he stubbed his toe. Whitford came through as he kicked his third. No.
Just saw a couple of fumbles there from the Tigers. One from a mark, another one from a handball received. They're not clean at the moment. Looks like they're down a little bit on confidence.
So they come out of defence, be off the boot of Drew, I think. Long and strong, fisted away by Lee. Simpson cries for a free kick, he gets it. Keen to wheel and go. So Ben Simpson steers a little ball inside. Tips over the back, Mansell looking at it. Off the left boot, can't get it to do enough to Inglewood. In fact, out in the full.
Might have a bit more time, to be honest.
So it'll be brought back in. Back pocket from Sam Rice. Little ball inside. We'll find Gordon. He's moving swiftly. He's overcooked that one. Out in the full.
I was looking for Graham on that occasion. Unable to find the target. It's going to be brought in by Egger. Good young player, as we've mentioned. Takes it in to the forward 50. Umpires picked out a free kick. It was to Gardner. Ryan Matthews tried to take full advantage. As you hear the ruffle of the tarpaulin behind us, we are in the tent here on the hill at the Twin Ovals. Nice kick from Matthews, but another drop chest mark to Tigers. It's going to open the door here for Cox Goodyer to send the Bombers forward. It's a poor kick, though, as Griggs gets back and takes the saving mark. Comes back across goal. That's another poor kick in defence from Tigers. Makes his teammate work for it. Gets the handball out now to Rice. McCulloch now. He missed the target, who was Watt. McCulloch goes in after it again. Tigers fighting tooth and nail here not to turn it over. They're going to have to settle with a ball up and another stoppage. That's pretty sloppy in the back half of the ground from the Tigers, Cam Brown.
Didn't see it, who the player was, boys, but someone from the Tigers was coming off, looked like a sore ankle and in a fair bit of trouble.
Might be Hugh Johnston, if I can make out the back of his jumper there as the Rucks go at it. Little kick into a centering position from Ben Simpson. Was unable to be taken though. Little handball was shovelled out. Goes a couple of players. Egger gets them forward again. Elmer came at it. McCulloch.
Griggs' free kick, I think, Rowie.
So free kick plucked out here by Joel Harris to Griggs, who this time manages to hit the target. Tigers have it on the outer side.
And this is where they've been falling down.
Let's see how they go now, Brownie. Lovell.
Good kick.
Lovely kick. Finds Dygan. Dygan will use it quickly. Looking the Paul direction. He swallows it. Of course he does. Hands like vices. Big Mickey Paul. Steers it into the pocket. Fisted away. Be thrown in. So they venture forward, the Tigers.
It looks like Jared Drew down on the boundary, Rowie, with, is it a right ankle, perhaps?
That's a worry, because he's looked pretty good, Drew. One of their... And there's a whistle.
Blood rule.
Another blood rule. Better not be Mickey Paul, I tell you what. No, it isn't on this occasion.
It's important that the Tigers cleared it out of their back half, because North Launceston probably had 5 or 6 repeat inside 50 entries. And if they could get a goal against the flow here, that'd be a real bonus. Cut this margin below the 30 points.
So I tell you what, Simpson took his time coming off too. The ball will be thrown in eventually here as we're getting into low temperatures for those playing at home. Thrown on in, Lee. Gardner comes out the back of the boot of Egger, a tumbling ball. It's well gathered, handing out. They've worked this well through Davies now. Young spills it, back inside. Ponting looks to claim it. Crunching tackle from Ponting. Event scampers away, looking for Mansell. Fist down, off his forehead. It's picked up by Davies. They try and just get it through here. Gardner swung in a good tackle. Rice, another good tackle. Did he have the footy though? They're just climbing on top, red and black. It'll be ball up in the centre of the ground.
Just some of the tackling and defensive pressure from North Launceston has been outstanding this quarter.
Fantastic pressure. He's right, Brownie. Down from Lee, straight in the breadbasket of Matthews, and they just climb on top. See Jack Event. We've seen him used up forward and down back. He's mainly been on ball so far today. Been pretty good. Away they go again. The Ruckman collide. Down from Gardner. They get it out through Dygan to the Tigers. Good hands from Matthews. Gordon. A long searching kick. Unfortunately the numbers were with the Bombers, and Van Buren will make his way out with a kick to Donnelly.
So Donnelly gets things moving by hand. Young gets around Reardon, kicks up beyond a wing. Has a player sitting underneath it. He'll take the mark cleanly. Foon. Short one inboard. It was a good one to Cox-Goodger. A couple of long-time teammates getting called to play on. Reardon got him in a tackle, but he was just set aside. Short ball to Lee, which was extremely short, made shorter by the fact that Lee's a big boy. Turns around, kicks towards half forward for North Launceston. Ryan Mansell came swooping through, tumbling ball inside 50. It's gathered immediately as Kingborough looked to rebound, but the skills were sloppy, and that's holding the ball.
They're just working overtime, aren't they, North Launceston, when they haven't got the footy.
Egger immediately plays on to Cox-Goodger, who looks into the pocket and finds Whitford, who'll go back with a chance to kick his 3rd goal of the match. And a poor kick in the back half from Kingborough led to a turnover via a holding the ball decision. They just weren't quick enough, were they, the Tigers?
A bit of an arm wrestle here, coming up to the 10-minute mark of the second quarter, yet to have a goal scored.
So Whitford just looking for a little bit of extra distance. In fact, he just managed to pop it up. It doesn't go out of play until it does, which it has.
Yeah, no, in some respects, the Tigers would be pretty happy with this start. they've stemmed the flow in terms of scoring, but they need to get it in the right area as the ball comes back in again. Gardner off his hand. It's down for Watt through his fingers. Davies caught high. So it'll be a kick for goal for Liam Davies.
It looks like he's a good kick of the footy, a couple of occasions that we've seen him. The left footer from Ulverston.
He came over from Ulverston. They've done well in the past with some players from Ulverston, haven't they, North Launceston? So Liam Davies will wander in, look to kick his first goal in red and black in 2019. It's a shocker.
Looks a good kick, except when he's kicking for goal.
There's commentary mockers, and then there's that. So it'll be brought out. Marcus Davies, long-time player for this club.
Oh, nice
good
mark.
to see him fit, and that is a good mark from Alex Lee.
Been a good player, Alex Lee, hasn't he, for a number of years now.
Davies, that was a better kick. Just inside this time, Tom Foon couldn't keep it alive.
He'd be one of the more reliable ruckmen in the competition over the last 4 or 5 years. Always a good ruckman, North Launceston, going back to Nankervis.
Yeah, and the likes of Ponting and Cox-Goodger and Whitford in the middle probably make him just look that little bit better, don't they? As the ball comes inboard for North Launceston. Mansell swung around as he kicked his third. No. Just to the near side. So the Tigers immediately get things going out of full back. Nice, almost mark taken. Connor Young couldn't gather cleanly. Here go the Bombers again. Through Young. Kick into a centering position. Almost a nice mark taken down there. Griggs tracks it back. Got it to McCulloch, who tried to break the tackle. Was unable to do so. What will the umpire say? No prior opportunity.
Big Cody Lowe.
Big Cody Lowe.
Yeah.
We've seen him play some senior footy last year. Nearly swallowed that. Would have been good for his confidence. Had a pretty quiet start.
So up it goes again. Matthews gained the footy but was immediately tackled to the ground. Another ball up deep in the North Launceston forward line. Looking for their 8th goal of this match. Up it goes again. Rucks do battle. Gardner won it down this time. McCulloch was fighting hard. So was Lovell. Gets it back again. Gets it onto his boot. Tumbles one beyond half back. Wonderful pick up out there by Reardon. Whistle from the umpire.
Yeah, great call, Roe. It was a great pickup. That's what happens when you clean. Something happens.
Been one of their best, I think. It's done a few nice things. Stats sheet probably wouldn't show it, but been clean in the clinches has Elijah Reardon. He'll be rewarded with a free kick here.
There's this stagnant movement at the moment. North Launceston look to have all bases covered.
So Reardon sends a bullet up towards the wing. Nice mark taken by Johnston.
It was a really good bit of use from foot, wasn't it?
So Johnston plays on immediately by hand. Gets it onto the boot of Grigg, who saw something he liked up forward. Mark unable to be taken as North Launceston look to work it out now. They'll go through the middle of the Twin Ovals. Handball wasn't a great one. Matthews got onto it for the Tigers. Got out Diagon. Kick inside 50 now to nothing in particular, and there he is. Mickey Paul works his man underneath the ball. I reckon he's done that a zillion times in the SFL, and he'll go back to kick his first goal.
We're just looking at the replay. I have seen those paid in the back before. Thomas Donnelly certainly thought it was in the back, but
the new rule, I think, in terms of hands in the back,
enough.
I reckon they've just let that slide.
They need this.
So Paul ambles on in as he put it through. He likes it. Tigers have their 3rd goal, and Mickey Paul hits the scoreboard.
Well, he's owed one, Rory, wasn't he, early on in the first quarter?
He should have 2.
Took a great mark, and in the end, for a blood rule, and Kieran Lovell converted. But a badly needed one for the Tigers. The last goal, I think, came from Hugh Johnson midway through the first quarter, but that cuts it down to 26. You mentioned Gilly too. They might be pleased in the fact that they've just stemmed it a little bit from North Launceston. They haven't scored a goal this quarter, and they've probably had their fair share of the footy. The Bombers without scoring.
They're looking better, the Tigers. I tell you what, if they can get the ball up there enough, You know, Mickey Paul's going to give you a good contest. He's in the middle, Big Paul. Feeds out the hands this time. He's not there to kick it to, though, however. Underneath it was Sorty, slipped through his fingers. We haven't called his name an awful lot.
No, you're right.
Really
He's a player that needs to lift for them.
So
He's got some talent.
he does indeed. One Blair Brownless competing with Buddy Franklin last year.
What?
Yes, it's picked up. It'll be a free kick for the Tigers.
No disrespect to Cooper Sorty, but Blair Brownless talks trash at the best of times.
And he's trying. That was before
Maybe
he
he
was.
just wants a headline, doesn't
That
he?
was
Or,
before he was trying to get votes down this way too. As we just give Blair a nice little clip. Johnston will line up here. He was caught high in the contest.
Important kick.
A very important kick. The ruck duo's been pretty serviceable, I reckon, for the Tigers. Skipping beyond 50, not the most confident approach. Lets it hang up in the air. Almost got the journey.
It's a stuttering approach.
It was indeed a minor score for the Tigers as Van Buren finds Davies. They'll work it out now. Richter Soldo handballs over the top. Lanham has a job to do.
Well done.
Got himself in a bit of
This is good.
hot bother. Will be Dygan. Bring it back inside 50. Dygan spots up, looking for Big Mickey Paul off his hands. They
That's in.
get out a nice little crumb and finished off delightfully. I think that might have been what?
Well, that's important for them because they've had a good quarter, with all due respect, in terms of the margin hasn't been blown out for them. And they've kicked the only 2 goals of this quarter. And what's that? That reduced it to around about a 20-point game, is it, boys?
Yeah, 19 points now.
19 points, so they're back in it.
Yeah, 3-goal game for the Tigers. That'll do the confidence a world of good as they kick the last couple. So game on here at the Twin Ovals. Just waiting on confirmation of the goal kicker.
Yeah, Lachlan Watt.
I think it was Lockie Watt. So can they string together another one? That would certainly set a cat amongst the pigeons here at the Twin Ovals as the Rucks go at it in the middle of the ground again. Umpire's picked out a free kick. It'll go the Tigers' way. Out they come out of the middle of the ground once again via Johnston. Reardon got up, couldn't bring it down. Good forward pressure applied. He goes after it again. Reardon tracks it towards the boundary. Players will converge and it'll be locked in once again.
Looking
We're
good
almost
here.
waiting in anticipation for Reardon. You just sense that he's going to do something special. Might have just mistimed it. Went a little bit too early.
A little early, didn't he? Up they go again. Johnston won it down. Players gather around the footy. It's going to be locked in once again, though, as the whistle is blown.
Might just be a slight breeze to the left, boys. I think we've had, 9 of 11 goals kicked to the left of screen.
So up they go. Ponting tries to shovel out a kick. Matthews slides in. Ball in North Launceston hands as the kick comes up beyond half-back. Fly was made by a North Launceston player. Fell to Rice, who kicked inside 50. Was unable to be taken. Sliding in. Emerging with the ball now is Foon, who kicks it out.
Well done.
It's Drew. He's back out there.
To Drew. So he's overcome that ankle complaint as he goes inside 50, looking for a target. Paul couldn't bring it down. It falls into the hands of Lovell, who shovels it out, and that's another goal to the Tigers.
Lister.
Wonderful hands from Kieran Lovell into the breadbasket of Lister, who finishes the job. The Tigers have the last 3.
Yeah, a handy goal there for the Tigers, and we're a little bit critical of them when the ball hit the ground in the first quarter. We just felt some of their half forwards and smaller forwards, for that matter, hadn't got involved enough in the game, but it's been a feature of them in the last 5 or 10 minutes, and important. They've kicked the last 3.
So 5 individual goal kickers for the Tigers. Mickey Paul making things happen, though. He's bringing it to ground and bringing those crummers into play.
Who's your favourite player at this
Oh,
early
already.
stage?
Already. Just like
Fair
the
enough.
way he goes
has
about
been
it.
terrific, though, hasn't he? Gives you confidence when you've got a big target, Rowie, that can draw the footy.
It's something they haven't had at Tigerland as well. It's off the hands of Lee. Bustling through. Here he is, Mickey Paul, getting it done in the middle. His ball was touched. Dygan will claim it, but he'll have to get rid of the hot footy. And he gets rid of it illegally. Look at that. Getting it done inside forward 50 and in at centre bounce. Creative stuff from the coach, Bormala.
I heard Wayne Carey use the phrase on Thursday Night Footy that you don't send a Ferrari in to plough the field. He was talking about Jack Revolt, and I feel the same about Mickey Paul, but
I reckon
he's more like
he's more of
Ford,
a Hilux.
He's more of a Ford F250, isn't he?
He's more of a Hilux, old Mickey Paul. Gets the job done wherever, as he just guides and steers a ball to Ponting here. Looks further afield. They've worked it quite nicely here. I think it's Young with ball in hand. Powering boot. Just hugging in the pocket. Rushton does his best to try and grab it. They climb on top of him. Tom Foon helping out.
It's probably not the best inside 50 entry, that one. It makes it pretty hard for forwards and easy to close off if you're a Tigers defender.
Tell you what, this is what the game needed. Tigers right in this one. It's picked up by Ponting. Last year's Lynch medalist is seen over the line by Watt. He'll be thrown in once more.
North Launceston led by 30 points at quarter time. Back to 13 now. Tigers have kicked the last 3 goals. They're 20 minutes deep into this second term. The umpire hoiks it in over his head. Lee won it down. Ponting gathered cleanly, but he was gathered also. Have another ball up.
I think the good thing for the Tigers, Kieran Lovell's been reasonably subdued by his standards in this quarter.
Started like a house on fire and hasn't found a heap of it as he just has the ball knocked away from him there. Tigers will pounce on it through Dargan. Handball back to a teammate who was ripped off it. That's a cheeky little kick around the corner. In fact, that might have been a Dacos-like outside of the boot effort.
Whitford.
From the coach in Taylor Whitford. There's calls that it might have been touched. The umpire says it's a goal. That's a wonderful goal from Taylor Whitford. And that just arrests the trend for North Launceston, who hit back. And gee, I'm not sure how he put that one through.
Almost on the outside of the foot, was it? It's incredible goal, really, wasn't it? And a body blow for the Tigers because they were well on top up until then.
You can't do much about those ones, can you?
No.
They're just the ones that you're not stopping.
That was freakish from Whitford.
But that's just great forward craft, isn't it?
Tell you what, that'll be a fire starter really for North Launceston too.
I needed it.
Well, as you said, Brownie, Tigers had really climbed on top here. So North Launceston get a goal from nothing really. A bit of magic from the coach. That has to be done again. It's simply not good enough in the middle. The bouncing. We're on bounce watch. So they duke it out in the middle. Gardner and Lee will be thrown up this time. Lee down. They climb on top of Cox Goodyear. There's probably a free kick there. Yep, he's caught one high. He wiped something away from his face. Or looked at something he liked, but opted to go out to left. Steers a good ball for Foon.
Good kick.
Just bombed on from half back. He looks inside 50. His target is Big Elmer. Off his hands. Bouncing ball. Whitford picks it up. Everything he's touching at the moment seems to be magic. Foon spinning around. Ball inside 50. They climb on top of each other trying to get to it. A bit of trouble now at the back for the Tigers. Try and scurry it out. Dygan, I think it was, found hands. This is worrying times. In the end, Doran just throws it on the boot. There's cries for out in the full.
He probably just should have, I think it is out in the full. It's definitely called by the boundary umpire, but no, they've conferred, and it's going to be touched off the boot. You just sense, bro, North Launceston have lifted a gear in the last 3 or 4 minutes here. They're pressing hard. Certainly
answering the challenge, and a goal like we just saw from Taylor Whitford would certainly get the troops up and about, that's for sure. And it looks to have been the case here as Dargan shovels out a handball. Whitford's there again. He's tracking Lovell to the boundary, but it spills over.
From a Tigers perspective, you just don't want a couple of goals conceded in red time and undo all the terrific work you've done in the first 25 minutes of this quarter.
Yeah, really important last couple of minutes here. In the second term of this one, as it's just thrown onto the boot, kicked towards goal. It fell a little bit short. Fortunately for the Tigers, who will just be happy to see it over. And that was almost onto the chest of Ben Elmer. So deep into the second term here. It is North Launceston by 19 points. The umpire throws it in. Gardner wins it down. Lovell runs onto the loose footy and just skies the ball into the middle of the ground. Mickey Paul got underneath it but was out-muscled in the marking contest. Handball came out the back. North Launceston in possession and they'll get clear through Foon.
Just experience, wasn't it, from Jay Foon to sit behind the footy.
Foon has it again now.
Yeah, they're on the outer side, North Lonnie.
So Foon comes into defence. Donnelly sees something short in Rick DeSalter. He goes into the middle of the ground.
So new number this year, Rick DeSalter, boys?
I reckon it is. I reckon it is a change in digit for big Rick DeSalter.
So Young kicks out beyond a wing. McCulloch did really well for the Tigers, won the footy, got it off to the runner in Lovell, who went one way then the other, fed out the handball, got it back from a teammate, assesses the situation up forward, has a bounce, doesn't see anything he really wants to go to, just pops it up in the end. Big contest there from Johnston, who won the handball out. Umpire saw a free kick.
Yeah,
how's he going to see this one? He might get a free kick for
Clipped
a high
high,
tackle.
I reckon.
It's a 50-metre penalty too. So it was a good contest from Johnson.
Yep.
You're right, Rowie. And smart from Lovell. He saw nothing and was just prepared to hold on to the footy. Not sure what the 50 was for, Gilly.
So there might have been a bit of lip after the fact.
Yeah.
Johnston's going to be brought to the top of the goal square and he'll certainly kick the Tigers' 6th goal to bring them back to 13 points. Does so, pops it through, and the Tigers, they answer the challenge after North Launceston answered their challenge.
It's a good effort to kick 2 goals, predominantly playing in the ruck.
Yeah, he's been good, I reckon. I reckon that ruck
Well, he's up against
duo's...
a good opponent, isn't he,
Yeah.
in Alex Lee, so we've enjoyed that duel.
They're keeping him honest, Alex Lee, that ruck duo with Gardner and Johnston.
Rick DeSalter, Gilly wearing the number worn by Tom Couch.
Correct, yes. Good call, Brownie. Tom Couch, of course, not a feature in the competition this year. Just fly in, fly out last year. So it'll be bounce. Oh, that's lucky to not be recalled. Ponting finds Lee. Lee to Whitford. This is nice stuff. Trademark North Launceston. Oh, an errant handball from Brad Cox-Goodyear, but good enough to mop up. Whitford tries a flying shot near goal. That almost found a target in low, but he sees it out. Will be thrown in.
27.5 minutes gone, so a goal for either team before half time.
Is big, isn't it?
Yeah, it would give some great momentum and energy.
So it comes on in, low contesting this one with Johnston, the most recent goal scorer. Climbing on top of the ball was Mansell, and the Tigers climb on top of him, be ball up. So the Tigers really brought themselves back into this contest in this second term. They'll try and get it out of defence now. A bouncing ball is claimed by Donnelly. Hands it off. It's picked up by the opposite in Matthews. He tries to just power it from whence it came. It was blocked and will be a ball up. Pain of 50. So be big for the Tigers just to hold out here. They contest. Lovell almost swinging around. Nice kick from Whitford. Makes a contest of it. Matthews claimed in a tackle.
He's going to pay it. No. He was going to for a second.
It was Wadley who was the tackler. Be ball up. Forward 50 for the Northern Bombers. Tigers, good term. They don't want to undo it with a late one. Down off the hands of Lee. Picked up. Ponting and Cox-Goodyear, they so often combine. He gives it back to Ponting. Bursting from the back was Griggs to impact the contest. Brought it to ground. Mansell claimed in a great tackle. Tackle not rewarded. Play goes on. It'll be thrown in. So we see this tackle. Mansell picked it up. Probably could have got rid of it. Didn't really have a big crack. So it'll be ball up, in fact. Off the hands of Lowe. On hands and knees. There's a couple of players. Interestingly, at the bottom of that was the big man, I think, in Gardner. Or have I imagined that? I think I have imagined that. No, it was him there. Ball up again. And the siren sounds on the second term. So it's half-time here at Kingston's Twin Ovals. The Kingborough Tigers, 6-2-38. The reigning Premiers North Launceston, 8-3-51. And we have a ball game.
It was a great response, wasn't it, from the Tigers? And probably the first 14-15 minutes, Ro, I don't think we had a goal scored. That was probably an important period for the Tigers because they're under siege a little bit, but eventually they just worked it forward and were able to kick some multiple goals. We saw Taylor Whitford respond with a ripper from the boundary line, and then Johnson, the ruckman, bobbed up. But a good quarter for the Tigers. They outscored the reigning premiers, and they'll go in 13 points down at the half and think that their best is good enough to really worry North Launceston.
Yeah, they certainly will. I think they would have taken that after that first term.
I agree.
If you told them that they'd be 13 points down at half-time after a first term that saw North Launceston well on top and into the break as 30-point leaders, I think they would have taken that in a heartbeat. So the Tigers, they jog off the ground. It was a job well done in the second term. They still have some work to do, of course. And I guess the pleasing thing from a Tigers perspective is, one of those goals, that Taylor Whitford goal, that was a freak goal. That wasn't because of good ball movement or being cut up through the middle or loose marking in defence or anything like that. That was just a freak goal that you can't stop. So they can't kick those all night. That's what they'll be telling themselves in the rooms. And they'll certainly be entering the second half full of confidence. And you mentioned also Kieran Lovell wasn't as prolific in that second term. He didn't get his hands on the ball as much, but it didn't seem to affect them too much. And I think they'll take a lot out of that term. But North Launceston, they lead the ball game. They did the work in the first quarter. They continued it on in the second. Tigers came at them, but they still hold a 13-point lead going into the second half.
Yeah, fantastic half of footy. We'll be back to call all the action and dissect everything. As you can see there, the major goal kickers to half-time, Taylor Whitford and Ryan Mansell, the chief destroyers for the Northern Bombers. For the Tigers, Hugh Johnston, the only multiple goal kicker with 2 singles from Lovell, Paul, Watt and Lister. Lovell being prolific with a lot of the footy, and Michael Paul presenting very, very well. We'll have a brief break from commentary now. Stay with us. A big second half coming up from Kingston's Twin Ovals.
Tackled by Davies, who fed the handball out. It's going to be gathered now by McCulloch, who found a teammate who was dragged off. It just got his kick away. Through came Reese, who was also tackled. In fact, he was taken high. So Tigers back across goal. Wasn't a great kick. Makes McCulloch work for it. He went to ground. Was good enough to win the handball up. Poland now. Up the ground, comes back in board. It's a risky kick, but it'll find that he's lucky.
Blues whistle early there, I reckon.
He's incredibly lucky. So Whitford came through as he kicked his third. No.
Just saw a couple of fumbles there from the Tigers. One from Amar.
The handball out now to Rice. McCulloch now. He missed the target, who was Watt. McCulloch goes in after it again. Tigers fighting tooth and nail here not to turn it over. They're going to have to settle with a ball up and another stoppage.
Get it through here. Gardner swung in a good tackle. Rice, another good tackle. Did he have the footy though? They're just climbing on top, red and black. It'll be ball up in the
50. It's gathered immediately as Kingborough looked to rebound, but the skills were sloppy, and that's holding the ball.
They're just working over.
Marcus Davies. Long-time player for this club.
Oh, nice
good to see him fit, and that is a good mark from Alex Lee.
Been a good player, Alex Lee, hasn't he?
Cleanly. Here go the Bombers again. Through Young. Kick into a centering position. Almost a nice mark taken down there. Griggs tracks it back, got it to McCulloch, who tried to break the tackle, was unable to do so. Gets it onto his boot, tumbles one beyond half back. Wonderful pick-up out there by Reardon. Whistle from the umpire.
Yeah, great call, Ro. It was a great pick-up. That's what happened. North Launceston looked to have all bases covered.
So Reardon sends a bullet
Well
up towards the wing. Nice mark taken by Johnston.
Really
Got out Diagon. Kick inside 50 now to nothing in particular, and there he is. Mickey Paul works his man.
I reckon they've just let that slide.
They need this.
So Paul ambles on in. As he put it through, he likes it. Tigers have their third goal.
Feeds out their hands this time. He's not there to kick it to, though, however. Underneath it was Sorty, slipped through his fingers. We haven't called his name at all. Work it out now. Rick just sold our handballs over the top. Lanham has a job to do.
Well done.
Got himself in a bit of
This is good.
hot bother. 50 Diagon spots up, looking for big Mickey Paul off his hands. They get out a nice little crumb and finished off delightfully. I think that might have been what?
They come out of the middle of the ground once again via Johnston. Reardon got up, couldn't bring it down. Good forward pressure applied. He goes after it again. So he's overcome that ankle complaint as he goes inside 50, looking for a target. Paul couldn't bring it down. It falls into the hands of Lovell. Ankle complaint as he goes inside 50, looking for a target. Paul couldn't bring it down. It falls into the hands of Lovell, who shovels it out, and that's another goal to the Tigers.
Lister.
Wonderful hands from Kieran.
Land as well. It's off the hands of Lee. Bustling through. Here he is, Mickey Paul. Getting it done in the middle. His ball was touched.
The same about Mickey Paul, but
I reckon
he's more like
he's more of a
Ford,
Hilux.
He's more of a Ford F250, isn't he?
He's more of a Hilux, old Mickey Paul.
Gets away from him there. Tigers will pounce on it through Diagon. Handball back to a teammate who was ripped off it. That's a cheeky little kick around the corner. In fact, that might have been a Dacos-like outside of the boot effort.
Whitford.
From the coach in Taylor Whitford. There's calls that it might have been touched. The umpire says it's a goal.
It seems to be magic. Foon spinning around. Ball inside 50. They climb on top of each other trying to get to it. A bit it was. Found hands. This is worrying times. In the end, Doran just throws it on the boot. There's cries for out in the full.
He probably just should have. I think it is out in the full.
Has a bounce. Doesn't see anything he really wants to go to. Just pops it up in the end. Big contest there from Johnston, who won the handball out. Umpire saw a free kick. The Tigers' sixth goal to bring them back to 13 points. Does so, pops it through. And the Tigers, they answer the challenge after North Launceston answered
Matthews, he tries to just power it from whence it came. It was blocked and will be a ball up. Painted 50. Back to Ponting. Bursting from the back was Griggs to impact the contest. Brought it to ground. Mansell claimed in a great tackle. Tackle not rewarded. So back for the second half here at Twin Ovals. The lights taking full toll, that's for sure. And before we get into the second half action, we'll have a quick look at the goals from the first half. It was an exciting opening quarter from North Launceston. They raced out of the blocks and had a 30-point lead at the break. I reckon they've just let that slide.
They need this.
Some of the second-term goals, though, as Tigers really clawed their way back into it, Rowie. Mickey Paul, a big feature in that.
Certainly did. They were looking for Mickey Paul once again. He crashed a few packs and he even went into the middle of the ground and threw his weight around in there, won a couple of handballs and really stamped his authority on the game. Probably won't show up on the stats sheet all that much, but just his presence meant that Kingborough were able to get back into the game and get back to within 13 points after trailing by 30 at quarter time. So he's certainly had an influence in his first game in Tigers colours, which is fantastic to see. Cam Brown.
Yeah, 4 goals to 1 in that last quarter for the Tigers, and you mentioned Mickey Paul, terrific half of footy from him. I thought that the goals from Watt and Lister were really important too for the Tigers. Just a couple of, I guess, goals out of nothing, crumbing forward goals, and we were crying out for that from some of their smaller forwards. But the first 15 minutes will be pretty interesting to start this third quarter, boys.
Yeah, and just interesting here, we're seeing Jared Drew come straight to the bench. He's not participating in the warm-up with the Tigers to commence the second half, so he might just be not feeling quite up to it. We think it might have been an ankle, but he had some shoulder strapping on as well, so that'll be a loss in the back half for the Kingborough Army.
It was pretty good early. Interesting thing will be late in the game too, boys, whether or not you'd think round one, big pre-season, nothing can prepare you for an actual match game, in the true sense of the word. So we saw earlier on today, didn't we, North Hobart were right in the game, but then fell away in that last quarter, just a young group. So let's hope the Tigers, they're right in at 13 points down, but let's hope they can, for their sake, stick fat here in the second half. From a North Launceston perspective, though, they just would like to get their hands into the foot in the hands of the smart ball users. We know who they are. Ponting, we underrate Foon. We're talking about him off air, Rowie. Has come back from a really serious injury, but it looks like he hasn't skipped a beat.
No, he's slotted straight back in magnificently. What do you think the messages would have been from both sets of rooms at the halftime break?
Well, I think from a North Launceston perspective, I just thought they lost a little bit of run and carry, and I thought the Tigers out-hunted them a little bit in the back half of that second quarter. So they've probably got to get the ball in the smart hands of the users. We know who they are. Cox Goodyear, Whitford looks dangerous. A quick, fast ball movement off halfback, I think, is a critical thing for North Launceston. That's what they were doing so very well in the first 15, 20 minutes of the first quarter in particular. And from the Tigers, they just don't want to get off to a bad start like they did in the first quarter, because all of a sudden we know what North Launceston can do. They can kick multiple goals really quickly. So I think both teams would be looking to assert their authority in the first 10 or 15 minutes, and there's nothing like, I guess, scoreboard pressure to do that.
How big's the first goal in this second half, Gilly?
Yeah, it's massive. I think in particular if it's North Launceston. I just think Kingborough just need to stay in touching distance for the bulk of this quarter and their every show.
What would they take, Gilly? They'd love to be in front, obviously, but if they're within 3 goals at 20 points at three-quarter time.
Yeah, I'd say within 20 points and they'll give themselves a fighting chance. But the start is all important.
Doesn't look like there's too many positional changes.
We're just about all set to get back underway. The temperature has certainly dipped. The lights are on. We're bathed in darkness here at the Twin Ovals. But it's going to be a cracking second half of footy as the Tigers attempt to wrestle back a 13-point deficit from the reigning premiers North Launceston, as it goes up again right into the advantage of Johnston, who just taps it out towards a wing. It's met solidly. Tackle was laid. It might be holding the ball. The arm was pinned. In fact, the umpire says he'll have it.
Wasn't a great bounce, Gilly, to start the second half.
No, not a good start.
Your pet hates, I know.
It is indeed.
Up it goes once again. He's going hard. I think that was Digan. Handball's shoveled out now. Tigers with a chance to move things forward to half forward. Sorty get on the end of this one. He overrun the footy. It's going to be gathered cleanly by North Launceston. Scrubby old kick. Fell into the arms of Davies, who had a runner on the outside. Forward they go now again, the Tigers, and that's a good kick. So early mark inside 50 to Adams.
Hasn't seen a lot of the ball, Adams.
Well, he hasn't. He's been just buzzing around half forward, but as you say, unable to get his hands on the Sharon too much at this stage. He might fancy his chances here. Bo Adams, as he makes his way to the paint, just sets it up to the top of the square. Big fly came. Foon opts not to run it over. Kicks to the outer side. McCulloch's there. Poland came in. Chance here for North Launceston to sweep things up. Took a little bit longer to get rid of it than he would have liked.
He's played deliberate.
He'll be out of bounds deliberately. So that's an interesting call.
Is it? No.
No, I think we're going to have a throw in. No. In the hands of the umpire. It is hard to see out there. It's dark here at the Twin Ovals. The lights are on. The Rucks will go at it. Lee won it down. Ponting couldn't win it cleanly. Matthews could. Shoveled out a handball. Chance now for the Tigers. Wonderful tackle applied as they just inch the ball forward. Looking to just work something out of the clinches. They're unable to do so. And we'll have another ball up.
Like the intensity of the Tigers to start the first 2 minutes of this third quarter, just willing the ball forward.
So a real chill in the air off the hands of Johnston. Snavelled by Cox Goodyear, and he runs into a yellow and black wall. Beautiful work. You don't see this too often, Cox Goodyear.
I was just about to say the same thing, Gilly.
Looking to burst away. Look at him. All claim him. Fantastic work from the Tigers.
Well, this is just the start that they would have wanted.
So I think Mickey Paul somehow claimed this. He was just standing off the back of that, so I don't know how he's come away with it.
Well, he's owed one. Retrospective shot on goal.
So here we go. Big Mickey Paul wanders on in.
I think he's missed it.
And he's missed it. A golden chance for the perfect start. The second half for the Tigers goes begging. You can see that.
Gee, they would have liked that.
Yeah, that's massive. So Mickey Paul misses the golden opportunity, as you just heard from Damien Gill.
Oh, good mark.
That was try to play on immediately, but that's a wonderful mark taken.
I think his way through here.
Marcus Davies.
So Davies pops it up into a dangerous position. Off hands. It fell into the hands of Lovell, who was unable to get away. And we're going to have it all wrapped up once again. So another chance for the Tigers here, just 20 metres out from the mouth of goal.
And again, it was Mickey Paul presenting. Crashing packs, bringing it to the ground.
Up it goes and down it comes. North Launceston player mobbed by a pack of Tigers.
It's not going to be easy here for North Launceston to clear the area. All players in the half of the ground.
Lee won it down. Cox Goodyear just shoveled out a kick. Davies is there, goes through his legs. Important ball to be won, but once again it'll be all locked in as we sense a bit of an arm wrestle here to start this second half. Kingborough with an early chance to a free kick to Michael Paul, unable to convert. As it goes up again. Matthews was at the fall of the ball. He's wrapped up by Lee immediately. The umpire said he had no prior opportunity, and there'll be another ball up. So Matthews has been pretty good. Handy inclusion into this team after missing a big chunk of last year through injury. Johnston won it down. Was the player ridden in the back there? No, he wasn't. Another whistle and another ball up. So plenty of stoppages to start off this second half at the Kingborough Twin Ovals. Round one footy. Lee won it back. Here's Cox Goodyear. Booming ball. Cleared the 50. There's been a whistle.
That's costly.
And that could be really costly. So it looks to be...
He was actually under pressure when he kicked it, but he's just got such power in his leg. So, and as you mentioned, a massively costly 50-metre penalty here.
So that was at half-back just a moment ago. And now Ben Elmer will line up for goal for North Launceston. an attempt to do what big Mickey Paul was unable to and hit the scoreboard first. So when he comes, he's got the slow, deliberate run-up. Trundles in, looks pretty good off the boot. He liked it as soon as he kicked it. Ben Elmer has another one, and North Launceston draw first blood in the second half here at the Twin Ovals.
Yeah, costly down the ground free kick after Cox Goodyear used all his strength and bulk and power in his left foot. And Elmer, he looks confident in his kicking ability, doesn't he, boys? He's obviously got a set routine which he's had down pat for a number of years. Hasn't had a lot of opportunities, but he's managed to kick the 2 goals, playing his role.
So back in the middle again. The Tigers now have to answer the call.
They do.
So it'll be bounced. All eyes on the bounce. Favours Lee down to Cox Goodyear. And he's immediately collected. So it'll be rinse and repeat in the middle of the ground. A chilly Twin Ovals as it is now. Big off-season down here at Tigerland. Down off hands, Ponting. They squeeze it out. Cox Goodyear almost gets a kick. Almost drives into someone high. And he holds on to his opponent, who's not happy about it. It'll be a ball up. So it'll be down off the hands of Lee. Climbing on top was Watt. Ponting trying to get it. Comes out the side. Claimed. And away they go now, the Tigers. Through hands. The outer side. In trouble. Event. Crunching tackle. It was a good one.
Not sure what he saw there.
Yeah, it was Bailey Gordon. He just sort of went out and back in again and ran into trouble in the finish. So they look to switch it up here, North Launceston. Donnelly to Richter Salter.
Good kick.
He looks ahead, sees something he likes, and that's Simpson. Simpson, he can go to Foon, who's kept on running. Foon picks it up from the hands. Delightful kick, finds Taylor Whitford.
Watch him run around.
And here he does. Spins around. We've got a good view of it there. Straight through the sticks. Another for Taylor Whitford, 4 on the board.
It's just been worth coming to footy today to see his forward craft. He's kicked 4. And all of them have been pretty difficult shots, but he just made them look easy. He's got such confidence in himself to run around, snap across his body.
Yeah, and from where he took that mark, he was always going to run around, wasn't he? That was going to be a tough set shot for the traditional drop punt. He runs around and makes no mistake.
He just felt like he was going to kick a bag, didn't he? We said it early on.
Certainly did, and you're right, it's been that 4 craft that's been so handy for North Launceston.
Well, he's kicked 4, and it's 4 goals of difference.
He has been the difference.
Jeez, that's a...
So up it goes.
Put it away, I reckon. Put it away. Just toss it up. What's your stance on that, Brownie?
I am getting to the stage where I don't think there's any point now. Yeah, I don't think it's obviously a difficult skill for the umpires, and it's a bit of a blight on the game, isn't it? It's just a fizzer when they can't get it right.
He does throw it up, and that one was a little bit better this time as players are all over the footy. Dygan was in there. I think Ponting was at the bottom of the pack. It gets reefed out eventually.
So I reckon we scrap it.
Yeah, good call.
With every other change in AFL and the transformation of the game over the past 10, 15, 20 years, that's the thing that remains, the bounce. Yeah. Explain that, and it's the most pointless thing. just throw it up. He's rushed it, spins out of trouble, gets North Launceston forward.
Oh, good courage.
It was a fantastic mark. Griggs.
Nice kick again from Griggs.
So he's their user off half back, finds a target. Here's McCulloch for the Tigers, kicks up beyond a wing, couldn't find a target. Tackle was broken. They'll send it back with interest, the Bombers.
Boys, it just...
Big Elmer.
It looks a little bit like the first 10 minutes of the first quarter, doesn't it, at the moment?
So Elmer sends North Launceston inside 50. Pack flies, unable to be roved. A couple of Tigers crash into one another. Ball at ground level. Players going after it. And it'll be locked in at the arms of Brady Reese on the bottom of the pack.
Important 5 minutes coming up here for the Tigers.
Really can't afford to concede another goal here, the Tigers. That's a wonderful bit of roving from Kieran Lovell. Kicks it out towards the boundary, looking for a teammate in Graham, but was unable to find him.
Now, I'll just mention this because I know North Launceston viewers will be interested. Jay Lockhart has just kicked a goal with his first kick in AFL footy.
Oh, the exclusive club. That's fantastic news for Jay Lockhart. Congratulations to him making his AFL debut after joining Melbourne as a rookie a few weeks back. And his team, North Launceston, are doing the business as they go forward. And that'll spill again out of bounds.
We mentioned that under 25 game early on, boys, but it becomes important, doesn't it, for some of these players, just to have the opportunity to play another game of footy representing their state or their competition at the highest level, and who knows what can happen if you perform on a big stage.
Fantastic to see what Lockhart's done off the back of a Lefroy medal a couple of years ago. You're right, it can be a real springboard. So there'll be another stoppage here. Just hugging the 50, forward 50 for the Bombers. Hot start to this third term. They've opened up a nice buffer. Up it goes again, palm down. This time by Gardner, there's a whistle. Holding. It'll go the way of the Tigers. Be able to get it out. Graham. Switches it up. Rice now. A nudgy little ball. Finds a target in Poland. There's the Seagulls, or rather Plovers, bear in on us. The ball taken by Jay Foon. Foon spins around.
It's a good kick.
It is a good kick, looking at Whitford direction. He gets front position, but he was muscled on off it. The exact wrong time for him. They're moving out through hands now. A long powering ball. Again, sitting under it is Jay Foon. What a player he is. Steers inside. Oh, that was almost delightful. Courage in the end from the Tigers, and they'll make their way out. We haven't seen enough of this from Davies. Good rebound and run. Looks forward. It was a good ball and well picked up. They try and hold him up here.
He's just got to be patient because North Lonnie got the numbers back here.
So Graham looking long.
He went the barrel.
He was looking in the Johnston direction, I think, over his head and trickles out.
You're right, Gilly. The Tigers would love to see Marcus Davies just streaming off half-back and opening up the game a little bit with his run and carry. And pretty well held.
So chance for the Tigers here, deep in their forward line. Gardner won it down. Couldn't find a rover. A little kick came out from, I think it was Graham. Now it's North Launceston kicking to the outer side, but it'll only be as far as Matthews takes the mark on 50. He'll send the Tigers back inboard. He's pulled down there. He couldn't get hands to it. Fall over the boundary line. In fact, there might be a high tackle here for the Tigers. Umpire said no. So the goal here will be extremely valuable. Deep in the Tigers' forward 50. North Launceston with the better of this term so far. One down. Young for North Launceston. Scraps it out, but it's been taken.
He should go back and kick the goal.
So Jacob Lister pounces on an errant kick from Young. And he has a chance now to kick the Tigers first of the term. Just squeeze this margin back. He'll kick from probably 45 metres. Slight angle. So Lister, in he comes. It was across the face of goal, and they find a mark on the line. No, it's off hands and over the line for a minor score.
No, out in the full, I think, in the end. Must have just brushed the post. We'll see the replay.
Looking to move the ball quickly, aren't they, North Launceston?
Yep.
Play on at all costs here.
And they do, through Jay Foon. Geez, he's a good kick of the football. Up the wing they head, find Jack Event. Was off the boot of young Liam Davies, who's been quite impressive. Nudgy little ball inside. Not a great one, but numbers with North Launceston. Reardon, good tackle. They'll make their way back out now. Nice work from Lovell, just navigates the situation. Hands in the back.
Yep.
Looked it. It'll be a free kick for Rice.
That's where he's just so good, isn't he, Kieran Lovell, working his way through traffic. He's got that lateral movement to give himself time and space with the footy.
So Rice looks in the direction of guess who? Big Mickey Paul, wheels and goes. Powering kick. It sits up. The crumb gathered from Watt, manufactures a shot. Off line, a minor score.
Unfortunately, Mickey Paul needed to be kicking to himself there because that was the perfect inside 50. Would have loved a big target.
So Cox Goodger, we know he can absolutely launch the footy. He sees something he likes a little shorter than that.
He's going to get it back.
Hits the chest of a teammate.
He will now.
In lead. And he does indeed get it back. So another short kick, still in the Bombers' defensive half. They run it out, and that's not great. Turns straight over into the hands of Reardon. Chance now for the Tigers. Little ball wasn't Reardon's best, missed the target. Back out towards the outer side, and the Bombers are away here. So one bounce and a kick hits a target as the Bombers continue to look to build.
Costly turnover, wasn't it, from Reardon? They didn't quite use the footy the way he would have liked.
And that's a scrubby old ball inside 50. In fact, it might be out of bounds on the full. And the Tigers will regain possession. So they look dangerous there. They're off the chain out on that outer wing. Just unable to cash in, take full toll. That kick's a good one. Tigers now looking to play on through Lovell. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Wasn't his finest. Chopped off now by Egger. Handball inside forward 50. Met solidly by Ponting, who wheels around. Flying shot on goal from the Lynch medalists. Just misses near side.
Gee, I thought that was home off the boot.
It certainly did look it. So they'll make their way out of defence now. The Tigers. A little ball over the top will find Dygan. So they've got some work to do here.
What's been impressive from a North Launceston perspective is some of the leaders, Whitford, Foon.
So Matthews gets around his opponent. Worked them into a bit of trouble though.
Yeah.
They'll have to go back to defence. Pressure on, pressure coming on Griggs. Is he good enough? Got a pretty good boot on him. Kicks it out onto the outer side. Racing away now are the Tigers. Through Gordon. And it's tipped. In fact, it's out in the full, so not Gordon's best effort. Ball back with North Launceston. It's Lanham. Inboard. Finds target in low. Oh, as Mansell if he wants him. Mansell probably gone out of the game a touch. Egger. A little nudgy ball. Finds Foon of the Tom variety. Lets it rip. Looking for Whitford out the back. He's too smart. That was great forward craft again.
There for the Tigers. He's just going to run around here.
Do not let him do it.
Tigers has got to be there.
And
here he goes. Wheels around and threads the needle. Taylor Whitford will get a replay of that one. He did it too quickly for our producer. Fantastic footy from Whitford, and that's a 5-pack for the coach. Steering his side to a round one win. We'll see it here. He's done it 3 times now. They should be wise to it.
Look,
I agree.
That's bizarre.
If you're really switched on, we can. I mean, it's easy from up here, but you know how smart he is across his body. He's done that throughout his whole career, and there just needed to be some more pressure and match awareness to get across and cover that area, so he couldn't run around across his body.
Back out.
Sorry, Ray. I just mentioned it's the senior players, isn't it, for North Launceston this quarter? Cox Goodyear, Whitford, Foon, Event, Ponting, they've all got their hands on the footy, and all of a sudden we're back out to that, what is it, game-high 30-point margin, I reckon.
Yep.
So back in the middle, and here go North Launceston again. This time it's Rushton who kicks to half forward, finds a target. They'll look to go in once again through Foon. Here they go, the Bombers. Kick inside 50. Where's Whitford? Not there. Griggs is cutting it off. He's been good in defence tonight. So across goal to Matthews. He kicks beyond 50, looking for Johnston. It'll be kept in. Almost went out of bounds. Right on the line as players fight for the footy, and over it goes for a boundary throw-in.
It'll be hard for the Tigers, you would think now, boys. Still 40 or so minutes left in this contest, but they're going to have to double their current score.
It's a big mountain to climb, Brownie, you're right, but they're going to need to bridge the gap a little bit before three-quarter time if they're any show.
And it comes. Lee wins it down, but it was only Kieran Lovell who was there to gather the footy. He kicks the Tigers forward. That might have been hands in the back. I think it was. So a chance here for Tigers to hit back. Mickey Paul, he's unloaded from 50. Looked good off the boot, and it might be there. Get up! Damien Gill's fallen off his chair. Mickey Paul's kicked an absolute bomb from 50. And the Tigers hit back to stay in touch.
Well, he's a popular player. The supporters certainly love that. Helps to get the ball in the hands of your leaders and your better players, and that's what happened on that occasion for the Tigers. And just as you called it, Gilly, they needed one now. Cut it back to 24 points.
I must admit, I did find it strange that they just let him sort of have a look from that range. Big booming boot, does Paul, so that's important for the Tigers, and he's shown enough to say that he'll be a key player for them throughout the season. That's a shocker of a bounce. Alex Lee probably gave it what it deserved. Let's see it thrown up. But Michael Paul, that's tremendous. Great finish.
He's been terrific.
Good work. I was going to say good work on the line, but probably not. In the end, quite lucky to see it through.
I think it went straight through the arms of Fletcher Bennett.
Sort of set up from Kieran Lovell as well. The big players combined. Tigers now got a head of steam. Bursting out. Great kick. And it's Cooper Sorty. We haven't seen much of him. A little ball. Here's a good one. I think it's Graham. I must say, it's getting quite dark. Harder to see on that far side, but
it's interesting because we thought that they could be within striking distance, which a nominal figure we had around about the 20-point margin, so this becomes an important kick.
Huge kick. As Graham comes on in. It'll take a good kick. It wasn't a bad one. Not quite good enough in the end. Off to the right.
They've lifted a cog here.
They have good fast footy out of the middle it was. Unfortunately, might come back the other way with a bit of pace. I don't know about that. The Tiger sound effect for a minor score. I think someone's hit the wrong button there as Davies now, the former Ulverston player. Just overshoots that one for Lee, and out it goes.
Well, I don't want to harp on it, but it becomes a big 5 minutes, doesn't it? Time on in the third quarter.
Yeah, big period in this game. Tigers just won't go away. North Launceston have had the better of them, but they just can't quite put them away yet as it comes in again. Ponting was ripped off it. Watt was in there on hands and knees. Dygan goes and tracks it and slaps the ball forward for the Tigers over the head of a couple of players.
Well done.
Bursting through was Lovell, was fantastic. Centering ball, finds a target. Kieran Lovell take a bow. Graham will line up for goal.
He's just started to bob up, hasn't he, Graham? That was brilliant work. Used all his experience and lateral movement that has been so synonymous with his career, Kieran Lovell, and that was a great inside 50 kick. On the left foot, if you don't mind.
Well, that's just a class above. The burst through, break the tackle, get a target inside 50 on the left foot.
You see him play tonight, don't you, boys? And you wonder why he didn't play more at AFL level.
Oh, he's just snuck that home, I reckon, Graham.
Graham makes amends for his earlier miss, and the Tigers continue to hang around in this one. They're not going anywhere. And the Tiger Roar sound effect plays this time for the right reasons. Luke Graham kicks the goal, and the Tigers close the gap.
He's had a good season last year, Gilly, didn't he? Luke Graham.
Very handy small forward, one of the premier small forwards in the competition.
Back within 17 points, and just when you thought like North Launceston were flexing their muscles and potentially going to run away with this game, Tigers respond with the last 2 goals. Good game of footy we've got.
If they can get another one, it'd be massive. Head of three-quarter time, comes out to Cox Goodyear. He finds his coach, Whitford. They might just answer themselves. North Launceston, a ball meant for Rushton. They should see it clear here. Doran just gets out the kick. Rice now on hands and knees. Rushton mops up. Whitford runs into trouble. Gone. No whistle from the umpire. Good bit of work from Wadley. Sees his way through. It comes out the back and Elmer will help himself. Oh, he's just missed offline.
Gee, I marked it down, hit the post.
That might be a big moment in the way they come with speed through Griggs.
Big moment there as Elmer misses the goal we all thought had kicked. And the Tigers here work it out via hand. Griggs kept running. Found a target.
This is terrific ball
through
movement.
Paul. Griggs gets it again. Now they're inside 50. It's chopped off though. As the passage of play comes to a halt. Here's Foon in the middle of the ground for North Launceston.
Didn't see who the Tigers forward was there, Rowe, but he needed to be leading up at the ball carrier. He's waiting for the kick to come over the back.
Certainly was, as Foon transfers play. There's 2 Bombers out there on their own, and they are off the chain now on the outer side. Kick inside 50 is a good one. And now North Launceston have a chance to hit back through Davies. Centering ball, loose checking, and Whitford is absolutely all on his own and will line up for his 6th major.
I was just about to say a couple of minutes ago, boys, silly as it sounds, the Tigers just need to lock down on Taylor Whitford through the midfield because he's smart enough to run into space, and that's exactly what happened there. And throughout this game, he's just had the habit of bobbing up just when the Tigers are getting close, and with all his experience and guile, he has gone back and kicked goals all night.
He's been the thorn in the side. He has 5, shoots for his 6th that looked awful off the boot, sails through for a minor score. So the Tigers get off the hook there after some loose checking inside their defensive 50. Really like the game of this young man in Griggs, who takes a bounce now. Runs his full measure and kicks beyond 50. Oh, nearly a big hang. And there's the 3/4 time siren. So an 18-point margin.
A bit of a fracard here to finish the term. Fireworks.
A minor disagreement on the 3/4 time siren as the players come in just to separate each other. But once again, North Launceston take the lead as the hostilities continue out there in front of the supporters. Not sure if somebody said something or maybe there was a bit of late treatment after that mark attempts. But they're now separating into their respective groups. North Launceston lead this one at 3/4 time, 11:6:72 to 8:5:53. The Tigers will not go away.
They will not go away, and they responded really well in the latter half of that turn, Brownie. Looked like North Launceston really were going to kick away with this contest. We've seen Taylor Whitford be such a deadly threat inside 55 goals to his name to this point. But they've held their own, and we've seen Lovell get into the game more, been prolific, had a lot of the footy, and Mickey Paul present and kick a big goal. He's got 2 for the game, should have 3, was robbed another. And he's got them in the contest with a fighting chance at 3/4 time.
Well, his goal was pivotal, wasn't it? Because it was a game-high 30-point margin, and we mentioned the North Launceston leaders in the first 15 minutes of that quarter. They were dominant and almost toying with the Tigers there. And that Paul goal just got them back into the contest, and the Tigers kicked the last 2, 3-2 quarter in favour of North Launceston. But they're close enough, the Tigers here, 19 points. They'd like to go back-to-back goals early in this last quarter just for their own confidence, to get the crowd involved. You sense that they will lift in the first 5 or 10 minutes, but the champs in North Launceston Row, they're up for the fight, I would have thought, and we're set up for a ripper of a contest. coming into the last quarter.
Let's have a look at the goal kickers. North Launceston, Taylor Whitford has 5 and has been prolific up forward and has run through the midfield and probably should have had 6 after being left all alone inside the forward 50. Ryan Mansell has 2. Ben Elmer has 2. Almost had 3. Connor Young and Brad Cox-Goodyear have singles, while for the Tigers, Hugh Johnston has a couple.
Mickey Paul with a couple.
Mickey Paul with a couple, and singles round out the Tigers goal kickers up to 3/4 time. So interesting affair unfolding here at the Twin Ovals. You sense the Tigers can, you sense that they're sensing a potential victory. North Launceston will just have to hold on, and you'd think the class would prevail.
One thing we know for sure, Rowie, is that Trent Baumler is going to say to his chargers at 3/4 time, if Taylor Whitford takes a mark in the pocket, don't let him just run around. It looks like Brownie's mic maybe is cut out, so we'll work on that at 3/4 time. Might be a good time for a break now. We'll sort out that and be back with the final quarter here from Twin Ovals. Less than 20 points in it, so we've still got a game on our hands. Can the Tigers do it? Stay with us.
Choices Flooring Kingston and Hobart's home of AFL 107.3 Triple M.
When you are. So welcome back here at Twin Ovals. It's game on in a big way. The Tigers 8-5-53 play the reigning premiers North Launceston 11-6-72. They've threatened to run away with it a couple of times, but Tigers have done enough to be in the contest at 3/4 time. Can they win it, boys?
Yeah, I think they can. They're going to have to do everything right. it's going to be tough. The ground to be slippery out there. There'd be some dew starting to form, you'd think, as the temperature dips. They're going to have to do something about Whitford, but I think they've got the talent to win this game. But as I say, everything's going to have to go right for the Tigers in this final term.
It looks like Brownie's batteries are struggling, so we'll have to find a couple of batteries and sort him out there. Sorry, Brownie, you're just twiddling your thumbs for the moment. It's balled up. Common sense prevails. It's down, and Lee whacks it on the boot. Coming through was Davies. A good ball in and a great clunk from Big Elmer. So it's been Paul at one end and Elmer at the other.
Yeah, that was vintage, wasn't it? That was just classic centre square, hit a target inside 50, leading forward. And Ben Elmer looks to be a player in this competition.
He looks a beauty. Early signs are very, very good for Elmer. So strolling on in, Elmer. This will be his third for the day. Gives it a ride. He's not sure about it off the boot. Doesn't make the journey. Rushton sniffs it out. And it's tipped out for a throw in.
Looks like there might have been a little bit of breeze down there that just held it up, because it was just a little 9-iron to the mouth of goal that didn't quite get there. Ben Elmer, I think, a player of his calibre can make the distance, that's for sure. So no score added for North Launceston. In it comes from the boundary throw in. Hands were good from Matthews, but it was Rushton coming bursting through. He couldn't gather it cleanly, and he was taken down in the tackle by Doran. So just 15 metres out from the North Launceston goal. As they look to extend this lead and potentially rack up their first win of 2019. Tigers fighting hard in defence. Reese was in there, applying the tackle. It'll be wrapped up once again. So 19 points the margin for North Launceston as the ball goes up straight into the hands of Cox Goodyear, who couldn't quite burst on through. Was dispossessed of the ball. And still right on the North Launceston goal line. So some desperate defence there from the Tigers. Not the man you want with the footy around goal is Cox Goodyear, who is fighting in there once more. Goes to ground, it's jagged out of there and kicked over the shoulder, and North Launceston strike. In fact, they miss. I thought that was a goal, Brownie. In they come again, the Tigers. That's a shocking kick. That'll be a terrible turnover. That's not what you want running out of defence. So I think we might have Brownie back online here by the sounds of things. Foon just retrieving the ball as we just await for things to restart.
Can the Tigers stem the flow here? North Launceston pressing hard.
Well, I thought they had a goal moments ago, but it wasn't to be, as Foon sends a centering ball to the top of the square, off hands. It was taken by Doran, who kicked only as far as an opposition player. High ball towards goal, and there's a player underneath it. Unable to take the mark was Griggs. Reardon's there, and he sees it over the boundary line.
A bit of an arm wrestle, 4 minutes in.
Certainly is. Lots of stoppages in this game. We've seen another one as Damien Gill
nearly tripped over on the way back in.
Yeah, if you heard that, that was the tarpaulin doing some very loud work into the effects mic. Here comes Matthews, unable to win it clearly. Fighting hard here, the Tigers, battling, trying not to concede.
So back and down off the hands of Johnston. Climb on top. He tries to get it out. Whitford almost. It's nicely claimed by Wadley. He swings it around. He likes it off the boot. Was it touched? It's a cracker. North Launceston look like they'll get away with a big win here. 12-7. 79 they'll go to. A big lead over the Tigers. That was a fantastic finish from Wadley. We'll have a look at the replay. Tremendous. Just wheeled it home and just gets over the line.
So if you're missing the dulcet tones of Cam Brown, it's not because he's gone to the bar and looking for a beer or a warm meat pie. It's because his microphone is unfortunately bitten the dust by the sounds of things, but we will try to get his thoughts and insights back to you as soon as we can, as we go back into the middle of the ground. Away it comes through Matthews. Tigers go to half forward. Mark unable to be taken. Off hands. Rice tracks it. He's tackled immediately by Lanham. We'll have yet another ball up. Lots of stoppages in this game. It's been stop-start affair for much of the night. So up it goes again. Johnston won the tap decisively. Shovelled out. Handball missed the target. Tigers will look to go forward again. Strong tackle laid by Lee. Lovell got it out the back. Tried to go one way, then the other. Eventually found the hands. Johnston kicks inside 50. Is Paul there? Can he reel it in? He can't. Reardon's at the base of the pack. Working hard, tried to shovel it out. Here's Donnelly. He picks it up. He can't work it out. Lanham gaining the tackle. We'll have another stoppage, this time inside the Tigers' forward 50.
Challenge for the Tigers too now. What is it, Rowie? 26 points, so they're going to need to kick 5 goals in about 20 minutes of footy.
Yeah, time certainly becoming a factor as Ponting tries to clear defensive 50, but only as far as Davies, who marks on his chest.
It's crowded in that forward line for the Tigers.
Davies might even fancy himself here. He looks to be lining up for a set shot on goal. No, he's seen something short he likes. Hits the target inside forward 50. And that's Graham with the ball. So he decreases the distance but increases the angle. Yeah, it certainly is a tough shot here for Graham. Comes in. Decides to just centre the ball. Big fly. Nice take by Lee, who was simply too tall. Hands around the back. North Launceston now the chance to rebound outside their defensive 50. McCulloch went up, couldn't take the mark. Handball was a clean one. That's a nice tackle. Calls of ball, but I think that was ambitious.
We might just have Brownie here. Test it for us, Brownie.
Well,
there he is.
Yes,
yeah, we were back. Well, Tigers just need to lock it in here, not let North Launceston get it out the back, and they need to score and score quickly.
And it comes immediately into the lap of Ponting, who gets North Launceston forward. Wadley couldn't gather cleanly. Tigers are in possession with the ball. Strong tackle laid. They'll kick inside forward 50 now. That's all Bombers in defence.
Fantastic take there from Foon.
Just a great reader of the play, isn't he, Jay Foon? And a terrific decision maker.
To Van Buren. Doesn't hit his target. And a good tackle sees it, the ball over the line, right in front of the interchange. So it'll be thrown on in. It's a mountain to climb now for the Kingborough Tigers. They fought manfully to make this really tantalising tussle, but at the moment it's looking like North Launceston. Lee down, rushed denied it off, but it was snagged by Dygan. Couldn't quite find Griggs, who's wrestled in a tackle. In the end, he got rid of it, but too late, said the umpire.
Well, he got spun around a couple of times.
So it'll be a Jack Event ball. He's had a good game. Rarely does he have a bad game, Jack Event.
Terrific player.
So long and high goes Event. Pack forms almost for the Tigers. Picking up out the back was Johnston. receives it back, throws it on the boot, a tumble little ball. Rushton now finds some space when there was none. Out the back, over the top of Davies, picking up with Simpson. Eyes, goal, no. Out the back he finds his coach, and I tell you what, if he wheels round and kicks this through, well, I tell you, the angle doesn't really demand it, but he might just do it to rub salt in the wounds. It's been terrific, Taylor Whitford.
Oh, best on the ground by a long way for mine. This will be potentially 6 goals out of his team's 13. He's also won the ball in the midfield. Played predominantly forward, it's got to be said, though.
So, with a skip and a deliberate approach, he puts it through. He was happy with it too, Taylor Whitford, and why not? 6 goals in round 1. And North Launceston are going to be victors at Kingston's Twin Ovals.
We said, Rowie, before the game, we thought he might start forward based on the fact that so much of that goal-kicking power from North Launceston has gone out of the side. But, gee, he's a smart player.
Yeah, what a weapon to have, and it speaks volumes that even with the pre-season losses in this team, you can still take Taylor Whitford out of your midfield, sit him forward, and get 6 goals out of him.
There's a difference, really.
Yeah, it's been a one-man show in that forward line. Fantastic to see one of the class players in the competition dominate as it goes back into the middle again. Here's Cox Goodger. It's been a whistle. Tigers free kick.
But even early on, when the Tigers were surging, he just had that knack of kicking a goal.
Lockie Griggs couldn't hit the target. Tigers are in possession with it. McCulloch came streaming out from defensive 50. He's up a long way from home. In fact, he's been pinged holding the ball. Umpire...
Boys didn't like it on the hill, Rowie. They thought it was too high.
Yeah, it was a whistle which could have went either way as the Bombers get things moving through Egger. They're here right in front of the commentary position. Here's Wadley. He'll give it to Davies, who kicks inside 50. There's a one-on-one down there. It's going to fall for the Tigers through Davies. Thought about kicking. Decides to go via hand. We'll get it back now. Dicey play here from the Tigers. They need to work it out. They do so well. Matthews combines with Davies, who brushes a tackle. Another handball. He might even get it back again here, Davies. Umpires picked something out, perhaps off the ball.
I think he just ran out of tarmac.
No, he has too. He's taken it out of bounds.
Still a fair bit of footy left in this quarter, but from the Tigers' perspective, you just don't want to see them drop the bundle here and have this margin blow out beyond 50 points.
In it comes again. Lee and Gardner do the ruck work. Little handball forward. Eventually spills out of bounds.
Interesting with the Gilly. Be interesting with the review for the Tigers if they do get beat in this game. They'll probably look back on that first 15-20 minutes when North Launceston shot out to, it was about a 3 or 4 goal lead pretty quickly in this game.
So in it comes. Matthews picks it up, evades one, drops it off to a teammate in trouble though, and he'll be holding the footy. So I'm not sure who the ball carrier was, but it's going to be a North Launceston shot. Might have even been Lovell. It was. He had his hands free, but he wasn't happy with it.
Did he have prior?
Don't know if he had prior,
but he had the hands free, so could have.
It's an issue I have with the interpretation is he probably didn't have prior, but because he didn't fake
It's been punished.
the effort to get rid of it. So it'll be Davies to have a shot. It'd be good reward for him. He liked it immediately. Fantastic finish from Davies. He settled into this side with consummate ease. And another for North Lonnie. 14-7-91. They skip away.
Yeah, he has, and he's looked really composed with ball in hand. Looks like he's had plenty of time. Good decision maker, and that caps off for a really impressive first game for him. And all of a sudden, it's out to 38 points.
Yeah, it certainly is. 38-point margin. That would almost be the biggest margin of the night.
Correct.
Here at the Twin Ovals. So the Tigers trailed by 30 at quarter time. They got that back to 13. As you just heard from Cam Brown, back up to 38. Matthews gives it off to Griggs, who's tried really hard all night. Kicks it up beyond a wing. Met solidly. Handball over the top. Found Simpson. He gets it out now to Young. He's got a runner in Young also, who now kicks towards the mouth of goal. Nobody able to take the mark. Off hands. It was taken. High ball. Dangerous. Nobody to take the mark. It was an ambitious claim. The ball was squeezed out. Event gets it out the back door. There's been a whistle though. Another North Launceston free kick. So a chance here to extend this lead to 44 points. We spoke about this. This is exactly what the Tigers didn't want.
Yeah, they've worked too hard, particularly since the 20-minute mark of the first quarter for this one to blow out.
Ben Elmer with ball in hands. So he's been really impressive here for North Launceston. Essentially the Tom Bennett replacement. The Bart McCulloch replacement. Pick or choose. He's a key forward with a really nice technique. In he comes. Struck it nicely. And he's just missed.
Just a couple that he nearly could have got. What have you got him down for, boys? 3, is it?
I think he might have had 3, yeah. He probably could have had 4 or 5. As the Tigers resume things immediately out of full-back. Scrubby old kick. Rice was good enough to collect on the half volley. He kicks toward a wing. McCulloch couldn't take the mark. Out it comes. They move the ball by hand. And they've... Gee, he was lucky. No, in fact, he has been called for holding the ball. They've been caught several times tonight, the Tigers.
Just work hard, don't they, when they haven't got the footy, North Launceston, like all good teams do. Their ability to put pressure on, intercept, rebound off half-back has been terrific tonight.
And another fine example of it just then, as Event gets things moving towards half-forward for North Launceston. Falls into the hands of McCulloch. He gave the hands to Rice, who didn't quite know where to go. Eventually, Tigers concede a little bit of ground and then run out of ground as the ball goes over the boundary.
Interesting one for Trent Bormiller, Gilly. They've got the bye next week, the Tigers. So,
yeah, okay.
And they front up against Lauderdale, at Lauderdale in round 3.
That'll be a good clash. Although quite impressive late today. Took a while to get going. As it's Lovell now bursting through. Good hands. Almost thrown in the end. Davies finds an ally in Cox Goodyear. A big booming boot. Looking for Elmer. Off hands and down for, I think it was Mansell underneath all that. Crunched into the turf. It'll be a ball up inside 50. So North Launceston have flexed their muscle when required in this fourth quarter. Swatted down from low. Just agriculturally dealt with there by Griggs. Collected by Egger. A little chiseler inside is not good. I'll move it away now. Switching it up. That's a good grab.
It's been good.
It's Griggs again, isn't it?
That's not, though.
That kick is a shocker. Just wobbling into the arms of Davies, who we've mentioned a few times on the call, being very handy. Lee now. Little one over the top for Event.
He's racked him up, hasn't he? Across half-back, Event.
Yeah, he's been good. One of their best, North Launceston, as he has done for the last several years. Towards half forward now, the Bombers off the hands of Gardner, and McCulloch will track it back. Has time and space to think it through. Kicks beyond 50 now. Hits a target in Davies, who'll kick up beyond a wing. Sees a one-on-one he likes, and he's got a player out the back. Kick inside 50 now. Tumbling ball towards goal. Who'll win the foot race? Watt's there, as is Whitford. Watt almost kept it in, and that might have been out on the full off the boot of Donnelly. In fact, it wasn't. It'll be a boundary throw-in.
They do give you an audit of where your footy club's at, though, don't they? North Launceston. So the Tigers, they'll review the game and they'll get some good education out of this, I would have thought. They've got 2 weeks before their next game, as we mentioned.
I think Tigers are going to be a reasonable outfit this year. I think they'll trouble a lot of sides. I think what we're seeing tonight is that North Launceston are still going to be a real premiership threat.
And they've got some players to come back into this team, as both clubs have.
And it is the Bombers who have the footy deep in defence at the moment. Short kick. Oh, that's a wonderful steal from Reardon. Went back with the one mitt and intercepted. He deserves a goal tonight, Reardon. He's worked hard all night. And you fancy himself to probably kick this one. That's why he's in the team, for his forward craft and his goal kicking. Sends it on its way. It's hanging way out to the right. Packle form.
Ooh.
There was a falcon there as it just got crunched into the head of Luke Graham. And it eventually goes out for a minor score. Bombers rebound immediately. Have it on the near side. They'll work it out by hand as they've done so well all night. Reardon went in once again. Tough footy. Players converge. Umpire says, I'll have it, please. So 20 and a half minutes gone in this one. It's North Launceston 14-8-92. They lead Kingborough 8-6-54. Round 1 TSL action. Matthews tripped over the footy, unable to gather cleanly. North Launceston now again by hand. Ponting over the top. Had a runner. Forward they go once again. Elmer couldn't work his player underneath it. Tracks over the boundary line. As we go deep into the final term here.
It's got that ability, haven't they, Gilly? North Launceston to flex their muscles when required.
Absolutely, as the ball comes back in again, Lowe and Johnston. At the back was Matthews. Griggs so often the outlet off the back of stoppage tonight. Sniffing around this ball is Whitford. Looking for a seventh maybe. He tackles. It'll be a ball up.
You wonder what he's capable of, Taylor Whitford, if he was to spend, let's say, 70% of his game time this year forward. You'd think he'd easily get 50 goals.
Yeah, we might just see it. It's been their go-to setup tonight. As it was Lovell that just sent a long ball high and outside of defence, but it's come back with speed. It'll be a ball up.
The reason I say that is he's just so deadly. And even if he has a quiet night, he's still going to bob up with 2 or 3 opportunities and more often than not kick them.
Lee down to Event. That was very nice offhand. Looking for Lowe. Oh, he had 3 cracks at it. Couldn't quite swallow. Picking up was Doran. Diagon back into traffic. Coming through it all was Wadley. He's done some nice things. Cut off. He'll have another look at it here, Wadley. Hands out. Van Buren. A little chiseler. And picks out Tom Foon. Have a look at the sticks. So 22 and change gone here at Twin Ovals.
Both teams looking pretty tired as we predicted. First game of the season after a big pre-season.
So in comes Tom Foon. And will he stroke in the 15th? He does. So another goal for the Northern Bombers. They've run away with this one. Good round 1 win for the reigning premiers.
Well, at one point I reckon they got within 17 points, didn't they, deep in the third quarter. But
yeah,
like the champs they are, North Launceston, they've looked really strong, haven't they, right across the board in this last quarter.
margin was as low as 13 at
13.
one point, and it's now sitting at 45. We spoke about the last thing that this team wants, Tigers, is for this margin to blow out, and with a couple of minutes left still in this final term, gee, you wouldn't want it to get over 50, would you? Because they have done some good things, the Tigers, tonight.
They have, and at different stages, they've controlled the footy.
So loose ball in the middle of the ground. Bombers will once again work it off half back, and once again via hand. Here they go now through Wadley. Kick inside forward 50 in the Elmer direction. That's magnificent.
Big Al Lee.
It certainly is.
He strutted forward for a little 4A.
I just saw a big fella
I thought
steaming
it was
out
Elmer too, in fairness, Rowie.
from the forward pocket, and I thought, that's Elmer. And here's Lee. So Lee does have a chance now to extend this margin out past that 50-point mark. Sets the kick on its way. It looks pretty good, and it's there. North Lonnie boys all like it. Umpire signals a goal, and this one is out to 51 points. Really disappointing for the Tigers, and fantastic for North Launceston, the reigning premiers, who've kicked off their defence in style.
Yeah, it is. From a Tigers perspective, full credit to North Launceston because they've had a fantastic last quarter, but from a Tigers perspective, you just would have loved to have seen them hang in there in this last quarter, because it does sometimes affect your confidence with a young group going into their next match.
Yeah, it certainly does, and we saw it with North Hobart today against Lauderdale. They were in it up to their eyeballs for a big portion of the game, but were unable to just hang on in the end. As we're back in the middle now, we're in the final throes of this one.
I guess some positives for the Tigers, though, Gilly, if we touch on them, the return of Kieran Lovell, he's
fantastic.
Been terrific.
So low in the ruck now for the Bombers, as they're probably just resting Alex Lee. He's a real key figure for them.
We've mentioned Michael Paul. We've liked the work of Griggs off half-back.
Elijah Reardon's probably gone out of the game.
There's a little bit. I think Johnson in the ruck has battled.
We should also mention that Jared Drew injury hasn't helped.
No, it just hurts your rotations, doesn't it, in modern footy?
Plus, he was looking pretty good. It's low somehow. Works his way through traffic. Comes out the back. Good pressure from the Tigers. Now with Cox Goodyear. He'll track it down, hands it off, receives it back. No, it doesn't. Goes by him and to Rushton.
He's good early, Rushton, wasn't he? Probably gone out of it. From a North Launceston perspective, apart from, Taylor Whitford knows what he's going to get from those core group of senior players, Rowie. But I think he would have liked the form of Mansell early. The big fella up forward too has been handy for them too, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of these guys that we haven't seen much of before. I really like Davies as well.
Yeah, good call.
He's been good. Elmer, of course, has been fantastic. Whitford. So the Tigers just really trying to fight this one out as the handball comes out from Young. Little left foot kick from Event inside 50 to that man, Elmer. It was unable to be taken by Reese going back, but it was swooped on wonderfully by Mansell.
Kicked it.
And that's a wonderful bit of icing for North Launceston.
No, it touched off the boot.
Touched off the boot. Gee, I've done that a couple of times. Scored a couple of non-goals.
Well, I think what threw you there, his celebration, he was very happy with it. It was a good finish, to be fair.
Certainly was.
So we look at the replay. Don't know if it was touch, but anyway, they could probably hear the sound out there.
They're a lot closer than we are up on the hill.
I'll tell you what, yeah, a lot closer.
Event just lost the footy. Tigers, can they get a consolation? No.
Van Buren from half back. Little ball picks out Rick DeSalda, being solid as a rock again.
Yeah, he's a consistent footballer, isn't he? Rick DeSalda has been now for a number of years.
This defence, a couple of changes, but haven't really wavered. I mean,
because they've never been monsters down back, have they, North Launceston?
No, Zach Burt was the only one, but even he's not that tall, Zach Burt.
No, they never seem to really get exposed. And from what we've seen tonight, hello.
So I tell you what, that's almost a freebie. It was a kick cross half back from Griggs. He has taken the game on a few times, and we see that here. But the umps are going to pull him up, I think.
What we've seen tonight, albeit it's only round one, boys, but they certainly look like they're going to be a top two side for mine, North Launceston again. They've been the yardstick. What a fantastic 4 or 5 seasons they've had. Their ability to rejuvenate this list again. We mentioned before the game 6 or 7 players at least out of that premiership team.
And there it is, full time here at Kingston's Twin Ovals. A massive win for the Northern Bombers in the end. 53 points. They stormed away. And you've got to be happy with that if you're Taylor Whitford.
Oh, you do. And he'd be happy personally. He'll probably deflect that and talk more about the team, but he was outstanding tonight. Some of his forward craft was brilliant to watch. Such a terrific finisher. And what he ended up with 6 goals.
Yes,
his best on ground and different, the experience of guys like Ponting to come in. I thought Foon was terrific. Event, Goodyear kicked a big goal, didn't he, early on in the game, and they just had too much experience, bigger bodies in the end. Got a lot of cohesion. A lot of these boys have played a lot of footy together, and it showed in the end. Not sure what to make of the margin, Rowie. In the end, did it probably a little bit disappointing, wasn't it, for the Tigers to get out to 53 points, is it? Is that scoreboard right?
Yeah, 53 points. 53 points. So, yeah, they'd be flat. They went into the final term 18 points down, and I gave them a chance to win. They needed to do everything right and for nothing to go wrong, but I gave them the chance to win. I thought they were playing a good enough brand of footy to do so, but to come away with a 53-point loss at the end of the day, that won't sit well with the Tigers, and nor should it. 30 points at quarter time was probably that start that immediately got them off to the back foot. On the back foot, they managed to draw it back to 13 points, 18 points at three-quarter time, and then were just blown away, which, after a long pre-season, you should be fit, you should be raring to go, and you shouldn't run out of legs in the final quarter of a game early on in the season.
We'll have a quick look at the goal kickers, but the chief destroyer, the story of the night, Taylor Whitford, really the coach. He led from the front. He was fantastic. As you can see, 6 goals. Ben Elmer looking a very likely type. We didn't even talk about Jordan Tepper, who wasn't actually out there. We expected him to debut. He wasn't out there. I'm pretty sure he was replaced by Tom Foon. So they've still got players to come into this side, and he was highly touted. So Taylor Whitford, 6 goals. Ben Elmer, 3 goals. Ryan Mansell thought he had 3, but 2 to finish with. He was fantastic early. And for the Tigers, Hugh Johnston, he did a bit, both on ball and forward. And Mickey Paul was a real bright spot, along with Kieran Lovell, which I guess we all expected he'd just come back into this Tigers outfit and really lead them.
He's going to dominate the competition, you would have thought, on tonight's viewing. You'll need some support in there as well. They'd love 2 or 3 of him. But just his composure and ability to work his way through traffic was really on show tonight. But full credit to last year's Premiers, because they've got the job done. And coming away from home, it's never easy. But I think they'd love it, having the win in the bank. Healthy percentage, it's got to be said as well. So I think they can look forward to another strong season.
Yeah, but it's not all doom and gloom, I think, for the Tigers.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think, there were periods in the game and they worked their way back in through on the back end of that second quarter. In the third quarter, they came again, and their effort and intensity was really up. It's just hard. They're still a young group, aren't they? They're building some experience into that team, but it's hard at times if you're involved with the Tigers to remain patient. But we saw some signs tonight.
We did indeed. Hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage. We'll be back next week. A 53-point win for the reigning Premiers. They flexed their muscle when it mattered and ran away with a big win. Taylor Whitford, the star, with 6 goals. Thanks for joining us here at Kingston's Twin Ovals.